Okay.
Okay. So Season 1, Episode 9. What had happened is that there was just an entire line. Did we do the Bradbury building?
I don't think
I think
so.
we talked
I
about it.
believe we did.
What was its deal?
It was the building that a total amateur designed, but it came out perfect and revolutionary.
Yeah. And then Stick Indians.
I don't remember the Stick Indians. But
Like,
I do
in
remember
what way, though? Like, are they...
I remember
mean,
Cuban
like...
yellow balloons. I remember Oswald doppelgangers, but I don't know where it was exactly we left off with some of the stuff.
All right, you want to know what? We'll leave this entire column whited because it looks as though we remember, and we'll start off with Oswald doppelgangers.
Okay.
I think what we were trying to do was just get into Eastside Steve.
You mean how there were multiple, like, guns found and stuff like that?
Well, I'm waiting for
No,
Baph.
there were reports, and Baph talks about this all the time.
Oh, yeah, and also
the,
sightings.
After the Kennedy assassination, a bunch of people said they saw Lee Harvey Oswald out and about all over the country.
Yeah, I heard about that. I mean, I think if they don't think they really caught him, then it probably is just he got away, you know? Maybe with the help of, like, you know, I think the biggest conspiracy surrounding that is that some part of that government at the time, or, you know, other people who were connected to government killed him. So if Harvey Lee Oswald was being helped by people who had connections in even, like, the CIA or the top levels of, you know, the country's
right,
security.
but people saw, like, multiple of him all over the country around the exact same time.
Yeah.
It would have been possible for him to travel around that fast.
Well, maybe it was to make people think that he had escaped.
Someone is trying to say that there was a doppelganger of Margaret Oswald, his mother.
Oh, yeah? Weird.
Yeah.
That one I would probably put for mistaken identity, to be honest.
It seems unlikely.
And, yeah, the Harvey Oswald thing I also would put under mistaken identity. This is like
Well, we're not putting these under anything. You haven't been around for a lot of these. There's no there's no nothing. It's just we look at the
no.
iceberg and we
gonna
black
give my
out what's
opinion.
ours.
I like iceberging. I was just gonna give my opinion on it. It's like, this is pretty surface level. I've actually heard this exact theory in like a shitty documentary on TV. So that's like pretty surface level.
Anyway,
in my opinion.
I blacked it. Moving on. Greys equal future humans.
Okay. I could agree with that theory.
Well, hold up. Well, let's wait on Baph and Boson to get information from the interwebs like we normally do.
Oh, okay. Wait, what was the theory?
Greys equal future humans.
Greys equal future humans is the entry on the chart here.
Alright, so apparently scientists did some kind of study, right, as to how the human face would look in 10,000 years, and it looks eerily similar to the way that people describe gray aliens.
Oh, okay. Because our brains would get bigger. Probably.
Right, just the way that we would adapt to stuff like space travel and just overall evolution in general based on the...
Yeah.
That's probably just because of, like, the sci-fi influence, honestly.
I can't believe Baph is too busy arguing and blaring in the chat to contribute to this.
I better say.
No, I'm reading another story in the meanwhile.
I just feel like people take speculations and future projections and apply that to sci-fi, and when they depict
No,
rays,
I agree.
Well, right, but the way that the gray alien looks isn't like it wasn't drummed up by sci-fi writers. It's something that originated from people having UFO sightings, and whether or not you believe those are legitimate is non-US. If you believe them to be at all legitimate, it's an interesting theory. So.
I'm not hearing much of a conspiracy, though.
Oh my god. I have to do this every fucking time.
Well, I'm also keeping in mind for Season 2 what we can go in depth with and what we can't when I black these.
Well, I would argue humans from 10,000 years in the future meddling in our affairs by abducting random people. Weird, right? They would be conspiring to do so, would they not?
Well, I suppose. Alright, fine, we'll keep it for now. Melissa Vandella.
Now, I'm looking at this one, and it's actually has to do with a pop singer, or semi-pop singer called Avril Lav. I don't know how to spell it.
Wait, do you not know how to pronounce Avril Lavigne's name?
Thank you. Fuck, Gator.
How do you not know who Avril Lavigne?
I know who she is, I just can't pronounce her name. Anyways, the idea goes is that she died in the singer died in 2003, and this actress called Melissa Vandella was hired to continue on her life as said music singer. And that's about the gist of it.
So what it sounds like is it's just Paul is dead, but with Avril Lavigne instead.
Yeah. And
I don't think that's really keeping worthy, to be honest. It just sounds like gossip, like tabloid.
it is.
Now, I'm interested in hearing this one. Increase of the constants.
I've actually tried to research this one before, and it's hard to find anything.
It's just a question that people ask. I mean, what if you increase physical constants? For example, terminal velocity for a human. It's really just autism, but you know.
Well, we don't keep
I mean,
autism.
Yeah, stuff where it's like the universe would be completely different at the speed of light, 0.1 meters per second faster or slower or something like that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess technically there is a universe out there somewhere within the upper dimensions, but I mean, it's got no bearing here. And it's really out of the range of what we're doing here.
I feel like the quantum is contextual, because if you go down to like the quantum scale, Newtonian physics stop working.
Yeah. But at the same time, they still work in certain ways.
Yeah, as I said, it's all contextual, so there's really no constants, and they're all affected by other factors.
Alright. How about the 18.5-minute gap?
Refers to redacted information from Nixon tapes.
Oh. So what do you think's in them?
Yeah, the story as it is that like some secretary was like transferring the tapes. At some point, she accepted a phone call, and that phone call accidentally overwrote 18.5 minutes of Nixon tapes. That like they were completely untrue. The conspiracy obviously is that she did it on purpose in order to keep something from public. On the request of Richard Nixon, most likely, if you will.
Alright. I'll take it. Kind of weak sauce for a beginning. Camera heads.
Okay, so camera heads is a bit weird. There's
Yikes.
something that's... Yeah, I know. Camera heads being weird. From what I understand, people on X, there's like a surface level explanation and deep rec. It was originally apparently the name for a copy pasta that was posted on it that no one can find a trace of. A lot of people remember it being there, and it was very odd. Apparently, after it disappeared from X, a creepypasta called Cameraheads was released on like the creepypasta wiki. Got somewhat popular, but the theory is that someone wrote the creepypasta as a way to sort of cover up the information from the original.
Or was the original?
But no one knows. It's been deleted. Like, there's no trace of it.
Are you sure it even existed to begin with?
Yeah, I guess where the conspiracy theory fade.
All right. Look more into this later. Human intelligence comes from cannibalism. I don't like the idea of that.
There's actually a belief in some extinct Native American tribes where you can actually gain power by eating another man's head.
Well, yeah, they're extinct because they got prion disease.
That and the fact that no one liked that idea, so they killed them.
I mean, is there any evidence for it?
I was hoping someone would have already looked it up by now. Intelligence.
I'm gonna switch over to movie night voice chat, or
Oh, you wanna
some different. Well, no. I meant on the text chat, because if I move to the text chat now on the camera, it's just gonna show Baph and Blaren fighting.
I don't have access.
The dog poster wouldn't be able to.
So just post all your images on the movie night. If no one has the movie night role, just request it.
Where do I request?
Well, you're not Baph, Boson, or Rynox, so doesn't matter to you.
Hey,
Just ask for it in roll requests. You don't have to be a dick to everybody this level. This is why no one wants to come to the
Not seeing anything immediately coming up.
I need it. Please.
Well, I guess we'll hold on to the human intelligence one for later. Modern correspondence with Prester John's land.
Okay, so you have that one now?
I'm looking at it right now, and it seems to be Prester John was a member of the Catholic Church who wrote about a mystical place, and people are like, where is it? So it's really just it's another one of those cases where people write something in extreme fantastic detail, someone high in the church, and it inspired people to look for. There's no evidence that such a place exists, but there is many books on it. It's a legend. It's urban legend that some dude fabricated.
I'm gonna add on to that. Prester John himself, no one's actually sure if he existed, and he's actually attached more to the legend itself as being called a king or a founder of said church, or said land.
I got an image I can contribute one day.
Be sure to put it in movie night.
Okay, so sorry, what are we on right now?
We are on Prester John Church.
What did he do?
It appears to be situated in Africa.
Oh,
This appears to be the land he describes. I'm not sure if he made that map or not.
From
It's
my
literally
understanding,
Wakanda.
it's supposed to be in the east.
oh, it's supposed to be about like a hidden city.
It
Yeah, a
sort of.
man wrote about this magical place that he controlled, you said, Rynox?
He was supposedly the king or the founder of it,
Oh,
and no one's actually sure if he existed or if the land existed. It's all legend.
oh, wow.
Now, the modern correspondence part, I haven't seen anything. Have you yet, Baph?
I haven't.
Alright. Seeing some parts where people suggested that he ruled over either Ethiopia or India. He's generally supposed to be over in the east.
Alright, alright.
Huh.
What about this one? The next one. Shipwreck, vanishing, comma, Java seafloor.
I gotcha. Okay,
Wait,
so
what was the comma?
Java seafloor.
Oh,
The Java Sea. Well, it was a site of a battle in World War II, and there are 3 warships that used to be there, sunken at the bottom, that are now gone.
oh, wow. Well, they could have collapsed through the seafloor. They could have degraded too much to be found. I mean, those are the most logical explanations I could come up with off the top of my head.
I mean, the Titanic is still intact. I mean, this is very unusual. These were 3 warships. 2,000 sailors died, and these were massive boats, and they're just gone. They were there before.
I mean, depending on where the ship sunk, there could be like carried the sediment over.
That's true too. They could have been buried.
Alright, but would that be powerful enough to move an entire ship just completely out of view?
It's never happened before, so... But I posted an example of the kind of ship we're talking about. They're pretty big. They're just gone. Without a trace. So they first found them in 2002 on a diving expedition. And a subsequent journey to observe them, they were gone.
Wow. Maybe someone stole them.
Maybe. It's a hell of a hobby.
Someone dredged them up.
So they've launched an investigation, but they don't really care that much about it.
My bet is someone stole them.
How would you
salvage,
spell it,
Did you hear about salvage jobs like that all the time, where they just find a bunch of ships, you know, on the bottom? Or like a ship, and then they just dredge it out, take everything, and then they sell the rest of it to, like a scrapper.
Now, you know me and aliens. But aliens caused the bubonic plague?
Someone made a
I can believe
WordPress
that.
for it.
I mean, it was a never-before-found virus that wiped out a ton of humanity, so...
Yeah, but you gotta consider that viruses evolve very fast.
Yeah, it's true. So, it could have just been that we weren't prepared at the time for that kind of virus.
Even then, it would still destroy us.
Like,
And it
you
almost
see
did it.
outbreaks all the time.
So many systematic problems all together, and not being prepared to fight the virus led to it being one of the most devastating new viruses of all time, I think.
Like, you gotta consider that,
When
like,
do you think the bubonic plague happened, Agent Star?
Huh?
When do you think it happened?
Well, wasn't it like 1337 or something?
I'm fairly sure it was earlier.
and it was during the time when they had cities, and they literally threw it.
1373? What?
Like, these people, they shit in the buckets, and they dump it out their windows, so the entire place was stuck like hell.
Yeah.
I don't think aliens caused it. We have way more complex viruses nowadays, and they're not caused by aliens.
And viruses are their own, like, creatures. They may not be, like, alive, but they are, like...
Well, that's a discussion for a
biological
whole other day. We could be here for hours talking about that.
Yeah.
Ghost condensate.
This is a classic one from older ones.
What did you say, Sinaticus?
You said to shut up.
Ghost condensate.
We've been over this one a lot. Isn't that where, if a window fogs up mysteriously, it means there's a ghost?
Oh. Like,
Isn't that the gist of that?
wait, you mean like if a window is like up and then it falls down?
No, like if
It's open and then it falls?
like if a layer of fog just forms on the window.
You mean like one of the top-down windows, right?
Yes. If a layer of fog ends up on it mysteriously, it's because of a ghost.
That just sounds like local superstition for places that have a lot of mist. You know, because they see a lot of mist gathered outside. When they open it, it's sucked in and it, you know, would go away instantly. So that could be seen as like a ghost thing.
Well, finally we have reached one that might be a little more enticing. The Gulf War did not take place. What did you guys...
I have never seen a film about the Gulf War. I've never read a passage about the Gulf War.
Did we skip right over Ghost Condensate? Because I had shit for that.
Oh, well, we'll go back to it.
So, unless Judge Boy wants to get this, I have a whole thing here.
On Ghost Condensate?
No, Gulf War did not happen.
Oh,
The Jean Baudrillard book, right?
Yeah. It's not so much that it didn't happen.
oh.
It's that he believes that because the only exposure the West got to that war was strictly government televised, the fact that we took no casualties almost, the theory states that it wasn't a war, it was a systemic genocide.
Oh, that would make sense, yeah.
Basically, we were killing fish in a barrel with really advanced machinery, and our journalists weren't allowed there unless you were like a federal employee. But, needless to say, a lot of people died, and we still have not released combat records from the Gulf War.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
we don't hear
I would
anyone
agree
from
with
that
your theory
region talking about it. Wouldn't that be indicative of that that's not what happened?
I mean, there are people down there that we would accuse of being hyperbolic if they said we did something genocidal.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, the entire nation of Iraq was, like, completely stone-aged after that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more like this Sinaticus on the Iceberg. There's Iraq was nuked. There was EMP bombing theories.
Oh.
There was
Iraq looks like it was atom bombed or nuked. Yeah.
on the previous part of the Iceberg, we talked about how a lot of Iraqi citizens are having birth defects that are usually associated with radiation exposure.
Well, yeah, they okay, so here's another side to that theory, right? What if they weren't nuked or bombed, right? But what if they have radioactive weapons that they've actually been hiding?
I mean, maybe, but it seems more likely that we fucked them up.
I mean,
And
you
what
can
if
also
you're doing, like,
take that and
secret experiments, you know?
blame it on their incest rates, because Arabs have really high rates of
They do,
Yeah,
yeah.
incest doesn't make you look that deformed. Like, this is Hiroshima tier deformity.
Les racist Doge poster.
Huh.
The racist dog.
So Boson, what was gonna be your piece on Ghost Condensate?
Okay, so if you look in the movie, this, and I feel like I'm gonna present it to you specifically, Sinaticus, because I feel like you're the only one that's gonna be able to make any sense of it. Because Ghost Condensate is apparently a concept of physics, like astrophysics. And I
Shit.
read that and see if you can make any sense of it, because I gotta tell you, I am too dumb.
A ghost condensate is a speculative proposal in which a ghost, excitation of a field with a wrong sign of the kinetic term, acquires a vacuum expected value. This phenomena breaks Lorentz invariance spontaneously around the new vacuum state. All excitations, I'm so out of it today. Excitations, thank you. Have a positive norm, and therefore the probabilities are positive definite. We have a real scalar field with the following action. That's an equation where A and B are positive constants. Using a sign convention, metric signature, the theories of the ghost condensate predict specific non-Gaussianites of the cosmic microwave background. These theories have been proposed by Nima Arkerhan Hamed, Marcus Ludi, and others. Unfortunately, this theory allows for superluminal projection of information in some cases and has no lower bound on its energy. This model does not admit to Hamiltonian formulation. The legendary transformation multi-value because the momentum function isn't convex because it's a casual. Quantizing this theory leads to problems.
Okay, no. What they're saying there is that their theory is bullshit, and they can't actually do it with real math and science. So if you do it their way, you can have this bullshit thing be like magical ghost saliva. But actually, it's just mist is getting on windows, and then people are opening them, and the mist goes away.
Alright, well, let's
Don't believe that's what it's talking about. I do not believe that's what it's talking about at all. Now, I am not a professional physicist, but it seems as though this is beyond me. I'm gonna come out with it. This is really beyond me. I'm more well learned in the field of quantum physics, of which this is not it.
Alright, well,
I'm better in other fields.
X provided a handy link to an actual scientific publication about it if you want to read into it.
Well, I will be sure to read that, and we are going to black it because it is beyond us, and there's no way we'll be able to go over it season 2. American Eugenic Societies.
Oh,
agreed.
Hey, can I get that, Baph? Boson?
Oh, that sounds like the Baph would want to research.
I'm looking at other ones at the moment. But if no one has anything, it's not really a secret that in the 30s we had this really big thing where we kind of agreed with Germany in some ways that we should probably get rid of people that are not functional. It's not a secret.
FDR, the one who founded Planned Parenthood, a bunch of different politicians, actually.
I do have a lot of the next ones, though.
I remember there was like this thing where they were sterilizing people who immigrated over the border.
Yeah, this tied in, unironically, to the brief popularity of fascism in the southern U.S. before that disappeared.
From what I've seen, it's also actually a good bit of the country.
I know there's like a famous picture.
Hi, I'm Tara. I'm Gothic. I like to slit my wrists and stuff.
You're gonna laugh at that one.
So should we keep it?
I mean, yeah. If it's verifiable, very.
Doesn't really
I would agree. There was a.
There's a conspiracy archive that has 2 articles on it. Population control and... Oh, they're both in 2013. The Council for National Policy and Pioneer Fund. Crypto Eugenics Population Control Policy and Propaganda. By Terry Melanson, 2009.
Well, it doesn't really add much to the theory. I just thought it was.
Yeah.
If you look in Voice, since everyone has access to it, I looked up American Eugenics Societies on X. And, I mean, I don't know what I expected.
WTF? I can't believe it, anti-Semitism.
A lot of people say
Unfortunate? No.
that the key to Jewish success is in one of three things. Their insularity and clannishness means that they give each other up a leg up and unfairly compete. They control one or more key industries which allow them to bend public opinion to their will. Centuries of being forced into white-collar jobs has created a basic eugenics program among Jews' populations, resulting in superior intelligence, which is then applied. All of the above are demonstrably wrong. I don't feel like reading the rest of this. Fuck it.
I think we should keep eugenics aside.
Alright. Fracking deaths.
Well, fracking is a method of extracting natural gas by putting TNT minecarts deep underground. It makes people really sick, especially in the state of Pennsylvania. Residue waste gets into water systems, it gets caught in the wind, and people complain about headaches, migraines, etc. So the conspiracy, if there is one, would most certainly be it's all over the place. Some people think it's like government testing on people. Other people think it's just, you know, boomers being boomers and doing things irresponsibly. It's not really a conspiracy, is it?
No.
It's just poisonous mining behavior.
But you know what is a conspiracy?
The conspiracy is that deaths are happening. I mean, fracking isn't something that's really looked down upon as negative.
But you know what is a conspiracy?
This is not common knowledge.
Oh yeah, you're right, because Bumblebee, he boasts about it, and he really likes it. I don't think he knows. Oh jeez. So I guess the conspiracy theory, if any, would be that information pertaining to its danger is obscured. Deliberately obscured.
Just get a water filter.
And a gas mask.
Well, the media is all over it. Snopes.
From what I understand, there are quite a few, but the one that's most interesting is that there were actually two Parkland shootings. There was one committed by a former Marine that happened a little bit before the famous. And in that one, it was quite a it was a gross example of FBI incompetence. They had all kinds of marks on this guy, like they knew he was going to do something bad, but they let it happen. So the conspiracy then is that despite also having marks on, what was his name? The guy who did the Parkland, Cruz, I think, right?
Yeah, Nicholas Cruz.
Yeah, Nicholas. They let him do his own mass shooting in the school in order to cover up the one that just happened, because it was an even worse example of their negligence.
One that's also interesting is about a month before the shooting, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe a number of local residents were paid to relocate. Is that true? Because I'm looking at that on Forklift. A number of residents were basically given money by the government to move out of town.
I mean, I don't know how that would be able to be verified. Could you verify something?
I'll look a little more. Also, there's this whole thing where there's literally no footage of the shooting whatsoever, despite every child having a...
Well, I think they would be hiding, so if they were hiding, they wouldn't be, like, pointing...
Oh yeah, but you can say that, but the most recent school shooting had footage from students. Parkland is the odd one out.
Wait, where exactly, like what grade level was the most recent one?
Well, they were younger.
Well, that would probably explain it. Because the younger kids tend to be, you know, stupider. And if you're hiding from a
Oh,
shooter,
it's more
you're
like
gonna
they
wanna,
forget things easier.
Yeah, and you would want to turn off your phone if there's a shooter so that they don't hear it if it goes off by accident.
Also, back to that point about the residents being paid to relocate. Assuming that's true, what kind of purpose do you think that would?
They didn't want those people to
Presumably-
be killed.
Presumably there were less children. As the children left the county, you could factually say that allegedly children died in the shooting, but they just don't exist. It's a pretty loose thing. The only thing I was ever suspicious about was the complete lack of footage and really any kind of evidence at all.
My main thing with that is the shooter himself. What was it, Nicholas Cruz? Yeah, Nicholas Cruz. He posted like several videos before the shooting, talking about how he was going to shoot up the school, but nobody gave it.
We've finally gotten to some real meat here. I did the cardinal sin of looking ahead. Ancient history happened in the Middle Ages.
Now, Boson, this is your alley because this is Phantom Time.
Yeah, it's Phantom Time. Yeah, it's basically, and I'd have to pull up the article again because it's been a long time since I looked at Phantom Time. The basic theory is that because of some inconsistency, a pope in the Middle Ages. Sorry, because of some inconsistencies in the calendar, there's a theory that some pope in the Middle Ages rewrite the calendar, and in doing so, he had to sort of make up most of ancient history.
Yeah. Essentially, it was the Germans trying to edit themselves into history, so it's postulated that they intentionally bumped up the date. And this is only corroborated by the fact that for a brief 297-year period, so 614 to 911 AD, there's very little documentation of anything from that time period.
That's kind of like the
All
everything
the way
was
up to
created-
911 AD? I don't... Oh, 911 AD. I thought you said 1911 AD. I was like, bullshit!
So yeah, let's see. The presence of Romanesque architecture in 10th century Western Europe, which suggests that the Roman era was not as long ago as conventionally thought, is one of the things people cite.
I think they just copied it because you see, still even the 20th century and 21st century, people still copied the Roman architecture, so they probably just liked it enough to copy.
However, there are some very compelling rebuttals, including the most difficult challenge to the theory is through observations of ancient astronomy, where essentially we kept track of star constellations back then, and if such a phantom time existed, the constellations would be different, and they're not. Furthermore, you'd have to somehow convince the Chinese and Islamic calendars to adjust as well. I think it's a non-theory. It doesn't belong.
I thought you'd like a theory that Germans edited themselves into history.
I mean, that's something they would do, but they weren't smart enough to do it. It was basically, it was Otto the First saying, I took power in 1000 AD, because I'm cool.
Now, my immortal true authorship.
Oh yeah, she revealed herself.
About that, actually,
Yeah.
turns out that she might have not been the actual author. Could have just been a liar. Apparently, her brother came out and said, "Yeah, I've not been missing. She's full of it."
Well, regardless, that's a picture of the self-proclaimed author, very 2008 looking.
There was also some crap about My Immortal being actually a parody of bad fanfics, but that's another weird thing.
No, that's the same person.
Never mind.
Sorry, I'm dealing with putting my plate somewhere. Fuck.
You cut out Sinaticus.
I said I'm dealing with putting my plate somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't get what's the conspiracy here. Is that she's not the actual writer?
Yeah, no one knows and it's still mysterious.
I mean, the fact is, faking your authorship of My Immortal would definitely have some benefits. Because it's like, you know, it's one of the most famous fan fictions of all time.
You get to have a bunch of retards say, "Yay, you're a princess."
I'm not sure about that one. I don't care enough to keep this on the iceberg.
I don't think anyone does.
Benjamin Bathurst's fate.
Do you know the story? Do you heard anyone ever tell you the tragedy of Benjamin Baph? It's not a story. It's not a story your rabbi would. So basically, he was a diplomat in the early 1800s, British diplomatic envoy to Germany and Austria during the very beginning of sort of Napoleon's. And he was sent to Britain to reconstitute Britain and Austria's alliance for the War of the War of the Fifth Coalition. But after that war ended really quickly, he was sent back to London. And while he was there, while he was on, he disappeared without it. No one knows what happened. And for 40 years, his family is searching for him. They can't find him anywhere. So at some point in 1952, this is around 40 years later, they're demolishing a house that's nowhere near the point where he was last seen. And they find a skeleton under the threshold of the stake with a fracture to the head, some of the lower teeth removed by, it would appear to be removed by a dentist. And they called his sister over. I don't know why she would be able to identify his skull, but they asked her to identify the skull. Now this is, most people believe that.
So you think, or they think, or the conspiracy purports that Benjamin Bathurst was murdered on his way back, abducted by a mad dentist?
No one really knows what happened to him. Most people say that he was murdered, but for what reason? I imagine it was something political, because Napoleon was directly involved in the search for him after the disappearance.
The wiki most certainly says he was in a particularly dangerous portion of Prussia, so it's very likely he was just stabbed in a back alley.
Well, I was about to say, the famous Spock quote goes, "Madness has no reason, but it can have purpose."
But why
Okay, but why were his teeth?
Yeah, but there is reason.
Madness has no purpose. For all we know, some crazed psychopath just fucking killed him and took his teeth.
Literally, it's a bunch of drunk Germans in a back alley.
Well,
you just can't stop being racist, Ken.
I'm pretty confident that you could be able to tell the difference from like a crack idiot yanking out somebody's teeth and like a dentist properly pulling them out.
Yeah, and it was very clearly, according to the witnesses, pulled out by a dentist, very neatly. According to the witnesses from 1852, so I guess take it with a grain of salt.
And he was under like a house, under a demolished house.
I mean,
he was under this.
Was pretty known as a medicine back then.
I mean, well, yanking out somebody's teeth kind of makes sense if they're having like something wrong with their teeth at that time. I mean, I'm not a dentist or somebody who worked in that time, but it seems to make sense.
It's worth noting that the wiki says recent research suggests that circumstances of Bathurst's disappearance are widely embellished, that he was simply murdered and defamed.
Alright then. We're definitely keeping that one.
It's easy to intentionally, like, make a hyperbolic circumstance around a political figure's death, especially back then.
Now, I'm hoping there's something here, because this is interesting as fuck to me. The nuke is the alchemical hermaphrodite.
WTF, thumb.
Alright, now...
Yeah, well, the basic idea is that in alchemy, the idea is to create a hermaphrodite. Coagulation of every duality. So it's
It would
This is
eventually make the Philosopher's Stone, is what he's trying to say.
So the
It's
nuke.
amount- Yeah. Some modern authors speculate that the experiments of the early 20th century could be interpreted as attempts to dissolve the chemical marriage of cosmos. To some extent, they are right. When the atom is split and the forces isolated from the state of equilibrium, the vast potential energy, the very blood of cosmic matter, was released. Though this author has no way to verify the inner intention of physicists involved, it's an interesting.
Now, whenever I look up nuke, alchemical, and hermaphrodite, most of the stuff I find, it's either Jewish or satanic, so take what you want out of that.
What's
But
the
you repeat
difference?
yourself.
There's
You
a
said
bunch of
that. You said that like it was two different things.
yeah.
Funny jokes. Alright, I'm gonna black that one. That's unfortunate.
Alright. Sad.
Irish rock mothers.
I could not find fucking anything on this. I searched everything.
Okay.
Does this have something to do with, like, Frozen? Sounds like it was something to do with Frozen.
Yeah, no,
Nothing.
I've searched everywhere and there's fucking.
Mothers of the Disappeared? Nope, never mind, that's a rock band.
Alright, guess we'll just get rid of it. Cometary Earth theory.
No,
Alternative name panspermia.
no, actually. It's just
It
the theory
is.
that the Earth. It's the theory that the Earth itself is a comet, not that.
Well, no, because I looked this up on. It's just panspermia, the claim that earthly life derived from bacteria from comets.
Prior to the heroic age of British geology, there were multiple theories which explained Earth's place in the cosmos with reference to new finding of stratigraphy and biblical historical interpretations. The idea that Earth was a comet, was touted by one scientist, though it was never taken seriously. Source: The Meaning of Fossils by Martin Rudwick.
I mean, don't we have scientific evidence that proves that Earth couldn't have been a comet? Based on what it was formed. Because, like, Earth was made out of, like, a bunch of fucking elements coming together in space, and then, like, a bunch of space rocks clashing together. Actually, I don't know.
Hold on. I'm reading up on Martin Rudwick.
Doesn't sound like it's got much in the... Got much? I mean, I wasn't a big proponent of panspermia either.
No. Alright, all the stuff with Martin Rudwick is a non-answer, so I guess you can just black. Fuck.
Ancient Egypt space programs.
Oh, you like this one, don't you? You really like it.
God.
Well, Sinaticus loves ancient alien.
You know, if you look in voice, you know you're in for a ride when the link is in all caps.
Cities of the sky. Ancient Egyptians had space travel.
Log spot, damn.
I can't believe it. The flying pyramid image is real. No, but seriously, this one's completely batshit crazy. Probably drives from Ancient Aliens. There's way more interesting shit on Egypt. There's
Well,
nothing.
wow. Well, I mean, I have that one video that I keep linking that thoroughly debunks ancient aliens, so... He just goes down for 2 hours.
It's probably referencing the Wow, look at that JPEG. Probably referencing the hieroglyphs that seemingly have astronaut helmets, but we all know that's not real.
Yeah. Yeah, so we can black that. We've done Fire is Alive before, but does anyone want to go through it?
Well, yeah, I want to go through because it was a theory that I had in fucking high school biology that apparently other people had also.
What components
The
of fire
idea-
make it alive?
Well, if you look at the things that are required for something to be alive, fire hit a lot of. It requires sustenance and nutrients to stay alive. You have to put fuel in the fire in order to keep it.
This sounds more like a technicality than a conspiracy.
It can reproduce if you sort of, if there's a fire going, you can light, like if you get a candle, you can light another candle with a lit candle, and there's what are the other ones capable of locomotion? No, that's not even. Hold on, let me look up. Damn it.
This is just a linguistic technicality. It's not really a conspiracy theory. I mean, you could technically, whatever. You could say that it's oh shit. You could say that it's alive.
If it meets the requirements for life, then it's technically.
It is.
Well, yeah, that's basically what it is, Jerry. It's not that it's a linguistic technicality. It's that here's what scientists define as life, and if fire checks all those marks, then technically speaking, it's alive.
I'm just saying I'm saying it's not a conspiracy theory.
Well, ask any biologist whether or not fire is alive, and I'm sure they'll laugh at you.
Well, I mean, it kind of just does sound like a linguistic technicality, because what are really the implications of fire being alive?
Well, if something like fire can be alive, what else could also?
It means that they have four definitions.
I mean, when you have something like fire that we don't necessarily consider to be alive, meets all the requirements, it's sort of like, okay, so even the line that we've drawn that said this is what's alive and what's not, if it has blurriness and technicalities, then
I think it speaks volumes that viruses are not considered to be alive, but technically speaking, fire could be.
Yeah, I think it's just it's the failure of the definition. It's not really a deeper thing.
I would say it's a deeper thing. It goes into philosophy.
I know, Jerry, you have a smooth brain. You don't like anything, but
he is higher up on the list.
He is higher up on the list for a reason.
We are pretty high up on the list, aren't we? I always forget that because we're doing this for 16 hours.
Nope. 17 hours and 41 minutes.
Oh no, I meant his section.
My brain doesn't like thinking about conspiracy theories, or else it'll melt.
Well, as terrible as this sound, these are the ones that I think catch me the most. Legal rape resorts. I want to hear where this comes from.
I need to do a little bit more research on it. Maybe Baph or Judge might have, but one thing that made me laugh was I looked it up on X. I like this.
It isn't true. Well, no, no, that's not true. He's just being a shitposter.
That's what the fuck even is legal rape?
Baph, do you have anything?
You just
It lets you legally rape people.
where would these even be though?
Well,
that's always the question.
In part 3, we went over that child trafficking island.
That was an actual thing.
I mean, that wouldn't really be legal, would it?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really fit under this.
I didn't. What the hell? Not quite what I think we're looking for, but I found a weird thing about a migrant raping a 10-year-old in Finland.
Well, see, this is the one where, like, I think it would be pretty easy to find some more information on it. I don't want to have legal rape resorts in my Google search history. Yeah. Like,
employee facing charges.
I mean, fuck it. I'm already on a few watch lists. I'll do it. Legal
Jamaica.
resort
coming up are /X stuff.
theory. Well, Dash X is our friends, so
I couldn't find anything substantial on that.
nothing comes up if you just
Pizza
search it
Gate is
directly
such-
into Google.
No, I got some results. Maybe your internet's good.
Yeah. But none of it looks... Oh, it looks surface level, and it looks more like it's attached to actual legal cases.
Well, assuming it exists, they've covered their tracks a little too well. Moving on. Retrocausality.
Don't you know what retrocausality is?
Nope.
Retrocausality is it? Or backwards causation is a concept of cause and effect where the effect precedes its cause in time. So a later event in time can affect an earlier event.
That's interesting.
How does that work?
Wouldn't that technically be possible under your models?
So, wouldn't that be like the Norse definition of time? Where it's like the future alters the past, which alters the future?
Sure.
Yeah, I believe that's part of like Norse mythology, where like past events affect future events, which is why like Ragnarok in reality isn't a big deal, because it's happened before and it'll keep happening.
I'm gonna have to brush up on my mythology, I don't remember that.
I don't understand this image, but hopefully it's relevant to someone.
Does Mr. Ontology Man know what that?
I think I've seen that before.
What the hell?
Mr. Ontology Man does not know what that is. It looks
That's
like
negative.
it looks like a model explaining retrocausality, only I don't know what the everything's pointing to be.
Okay, how about this one?
God.
Man,
Oh,
sometimes I wish I could refine the diagrams, but like,
This is some high IQ stuff. I can't even understand it.
The Fainam...
This
Yeah.
looks to be
refine the deck.
It's like two things come together, and in the middle it fucks up, and then they split apart, but you can get another thing coming out of it.
Let's see. An electron and a positron annihilate, producing a photon, representing the blue sine wave, that becomes a quark-antiquark pair, after which the antiquark radiates a gluon, represented by the green helix.
What does this have to do with retrocausality?
Yeah, Baph, where'd you get that?
He got it off Wikipedia.
Chemistry.
Well,
It doesn't have anything to do with the definition. It's just some. It's like a. It's more of. It's just a chemical reaction.
Hold on, here we go. The Wheeler-Feynman absorber theory, proposed by Wheeler and Feynman, uses retrocausality in a temporal form of destructive interference to explain the absence of a type of converging wave suggested by certain solutions to Maxwell's equation.
there's
These are the
another
answers.
image.
They don't have anything to do with cause and effect. What?
Apparently they do. All these are from causality articles.
They're simply a different
What about this
mathematical
one you
way-
posted where Alice and Bob are choosing it?
Let me click the source.
Reason they are proposed is so that a charged particle would not have to act on itself, which in normal classical electromagnetism leads to an infinite self-force.
So that leads to an article titled,
Oh, tachyons, alright.
"Can retrocausality solve the puzzle of action at a distance?" It's a whole article. Goes with
Oh! Action at a distance. I do know what this is. This is like when particles from across the universe affect each other, and it's referred to in quantum physics as spooky action from a distance.
Oh, that's the one where you pair two quantum particles, isn't it? And they're looking at that for computing?
Yes, yes. Now, for the longest time, there were two competing ideas as to how it was. The first was Albert Einstein's glove theory, where it really isn't spooky action at a distance. You have a right glove and a left glove, and you simply don't know which glove you have until you open up your box. The alternative to that was that the glove exists in a state in which it is both the left and the right, and it can switch at any given point. Now, obviously, since this thing exists in a state of being and not being, the alternative turned out to be more correct than Albert Einstein's. This leads into the double slit experiment, and leads into the upper dimensional model. So basically what this is like, if you read the diagram, it actually shows you that even if Bob chooses angle B, there's an alternative output where he chooses angle A.
Does the article explain how this relates to retrocausality?
I have to sit down and read all of it.
It is easy to explain the correlations that Bell took to imply action at a distance if we allow such retrocausality.
It sounds like it's just applying it to another lesson. It's not actually explaining.
It's in Bell 2 of his early papers, but he didn't see the difference between two proposals apparently throughout the retrocausal.
Which one were we discussing?
Still on retrocausality.
Well, we're actually going to move on from retrocausality. We can go back to this during Season 2.
Okay.
Paul Heller's final announcement.
Final message.
It says announcement.
Oh yeah, same thing. Okay. Canadian engineer, politician, writer. A liberal from the 60s, recently died. Nothing really outstanding about him. However, he was a big UFO theorist, right? So, in his time in the military, he visited a base in St. Paul, Alberta, and when he returned to his normal life after the fact, he became obsessed with UFOs, and here recently, he went on a talk show with RT, the most based news channel, obviously, and he basically said there are 4 alien species on Earth right now, and we should recycle more.
Is that what the aliens told him?
I guess. Yeah, apparently the aliens don't like how we're taking care of the planet. And he knows this because, you know, he's seen them, supposedly. He's also written many books.
Bunch of mediocre Amazon books.
Well, here's the title of some of them. There's a bunch here. Most of them criticize globalism. Some of them have UFO undertone.
The money mafia?
Okay, so it's just Bodhi, but with a more tinfoil hat thing going on.
Some of these... Oh, some of these are relating a lot more to economics than usual.
Well, it sounds to me as though this guy is just a big go green type guy who's trying to use aliens to spook everyone.
Yeah.
Like the
By my
alien
book, the
owls are
aliens
gonna
are
come and probe your anus if you don't recycle, young man.
Time to
Oh
not
no,
recycle.
here comes their big alien tongue. Oh no. I'm not buying it.
There's nothing really to back it up.
And Arctic facilities.
It's too vague to really search for.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we all know about those Antarctica conspiracy theories. There's so many of them.
We all know about that tweet that Buzz Aldrin deleted where he said it is evil itself, and there's an Antarctic here. Right? You don't know about that, though.
There's an article
Nope.
with 2 pictures.
Let me see if I can find.
Just looks like a odd cave with.
I'm almost certain that there's military activity down there, but that's nothing that would line up with the conspiracy theories. My favorite one being a Nazi UFO strong. What's much more interesting is this might be further down the iceberg, but we've gone over it before. What's much more interesting is Operation High Jump. After World War II, we went down to Antarctica with our boats, and we lost 2 of them under mysterious circumstances.
What do you suppose that all the militaries are fighting over down there, Baph?
Oil.
You know,
probably.
Because the back in like the dinosaur eras, like
did he
there used to be a
actually
lifetime.
post that?
I mean, I think.
Isn't there the nigga who went to the moon?
Did he actually post this, Boson?
I think so. Yeah, I had no reason to believe.
Here are all the current permanent Antarctic bases, I think.
It's a big Planet Side 2 match. No, but seriously, there's a lot of independent researchers down there. There's so many people down there. If there was something really fucky happening, we'd know about it real fast.
It's a big continent.
I can't believe he linked Snopes.com.
Yeah, Snopes is gonna do the fact checking for all the iceberg shit.
The alternative is just more conspiracy sites.
Well, damn, I guess we'll just email the Iceberg to Snopes. They'll figure out everything.
Yeah.
God damn.
I don't know. I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical of anything that says fact check because it's. I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
Snopes
sure.
has been proven to be not exactly the most reliable, so.
Well, I'll give Jerry credit. This is not politically motivated, so there might be something to it. Usually, Snopes is bad in its political sense.
I would argue this is somewhat politically related.
Snopes is really good for like disproving your boomer grandmother's claim that there are giants. You know, it's good for stuff like.
What?
What has your grandmother been telling you?
Baph's grandmother somewhere on this iceberg?
They found the biblical giants in Egypt. It's totally not a
Oh, it's on
Photoshop.
YouTube.
I'm reading some article that it's saying that the thing that Buzz Aldrin's talking about is near United Kingdom, Princess Elizabeth Station in the south.
Yeah. There's like a pyramid structure that's near that station.
This is very high definition, obviously trustworthy.
Right.
Probably radar.
So, what about the cereal box
careful.
conspiracy? Let's move on here.
The what?
The cereal box conspiracy.
There's a lot of different ones on this. Do you have anything, Boson? Because I have one or two.
Oh yeah, sure. You could go. I didn't really get too much.
The cereal box conspiracy takes many forms. The only one worth considering is the somewhat factual truth that circumcision was pushed in the U.S. With cornflakes, believing that if a child ate cornflakes every day, it would make them depressed and repress their libido forever. So by eating cereal, it's a depressant. That's the cereal box theory.
How does that relate to the circumcision, though?
Well, the idea was circumcision plus cereal would make you completely sexually inactive.
But
it was
circumcision
all-
has nothing to do with the reduction of testosterone. You just cutting the tip off.
Yeah, this was all done by one man. He's brought up a lot here for fun purposes. Mr. K. His great strategy was to feed children grain and remove the foreskin, and they would be good Christian celibates forever.
Evolve cells.
I'm just gonna black that one and move on.
Yeah,
Collapse
that's a
cults.
Yeah. The frickin' Campbell's thing is so mainstream that Adam Ruins Everything did a frickin' episode on it.
Yeah. So, nothing on Collapse Cult, but Boson might have some.
There used to be a Reddit section on it, but now it's banned.
Children of
Yeah,
Nile.
oh, really? I didn't even. Because when I search collapse cults on either X or Google, I get a bunch of shit that includes the word collapse and also the word cult, but never together. It's just, I swear, some of the stuff on this Iceberg is just put there to be like ungoogleable.
Mm.
No.
Well, either way, it looks like we're not going to be able to find it.
We have never
from what I
been
can tell,
human.
it has to do with, I guess, a bunch of people worrying about the collapse of the economy. I guess that's it.
Ron Paul indoctrinated me into a cult?
Yeah, you're now in a collapse cult. Give me your money. Even though it's gonna be worthless.
I only give it to Big Teddy Pauly.
Guys,
Big
did you know we have never been human?
I did not know that.
Wow.
I knew that.
Well, it's
I
our
couldn't
next
find anything on
conspiracy.
that.
What is this based on?
You're based.
Oh. I'm just looking it up right now. This is the fast-paced action that Baph was talking about earlier. Yeah, I'm not finding too much on it. I'm sure there's something, but my internet is too slow to load it at the moment. I wouldn't say black it, just because I can't find anything. I'm sure
You're pretty low energy, Boson.
I'm sorry, okay? I could be talking faster, but I'm looking at something right now.
Should we move on?
I think we should just move on because there's more interesting stuff.
Alright, Chinat 747.
That's really good. I'm gonna post a picture in voice for you to refer. So, what is immediately unusual about this picture?
Where are the engines?
Why is it in the middle of a field? Why is it on stilts? So, this aircraft appeared overnight mysteriously in the jungles of Indonesia. It was just sitting there, and everyone got really confused, and no one knows why it's there. It has no engines. One dude claimed that he had purchased it and said he was going to move it, but as far as I know, it's still there. It's just there. It was overnight. It just popped into existence apparently.
That's just weird.
Interesting.
Can anyone confirm whether or not it's still there?
What's it called?
Chinat 747.
Here's another picture, by the way, from a phone.
It's just there on stilts. What the fuck?
Oh, it's also worth noting that the doors were bolted shut.
Why?
Did they check inside?
They can't. The doors are bolted shut.
Yeah, but you could, you can remove the bolts.
Yeah, so everyone in the village thought it, landed there because it ran out of fuel, but then they noticed there were no engines.
Maybe someone moved it there for storage.
Might have gotten wheeled in there and then put on the.
In case there was any doubt, here's a wide-angle shot. There's really no space to land.
There's an article from The Sun that has been updated 9th of July 2018. When did it land exactly, or supposedly?
Let's see. I think it's at the top of that page you're talking about. It doesn't say when the original article was published.
Oof.
I feel like since it's on like cinder blocks or something, the whole thing was like maybe people had separate parts for it put out in different buildings around where it's standing right now, and then they just set it up overnight.
You think they hastily assembled a 747 by hand?
I mean, there's no engines. It's on cinder blocks. It's bolted. I mean, it could be hollow since it's bolted shut.
That just raises more questions.
I'm just trying to figure out an explanation.
Including how no company appears to have reported it missing either.
Yeah, that's another thing. The article does not make note of any markings or affiliate.
You know, I think
what year was that aircraft made?
No one knows.
No one knows.
I mean that specific type of aircraft. When did they start making?
Late 70s.
Yeah, Boeing 747s are old.
What if we did as a prank?
Well,
I mean, it would be a pretty interesting prank. I mean, this is a quiet village in the jungle. People would have heard it if it was like helicopters.
You know what this reminds me of, actually? I can't help but think about it. Remember when we did the Orang Medan?
Yeah, it is kind of like that.
I don't. Refresh my memory.
So, the SS Orang Medan was a ship that called out a random distress signal out in the Indonesian waters. By the time American ships came to help it, the entire crew was dead. And they were all, like, sprawled up on their backs in awkward positions. And they didn't actually get to save the ship because there was a fire that had randomly started on the 3rd floor, I think? When they went to go check local registries for any ship under the name Orang Medan, they couldn't find any. Making the Orang Medan, by definition, a ghost ship.
Yeah.
It's a bit like it is eerily like that, actually. It's a bit spooky.
It just appeared out of nowhere, just like this Boeing 747.
I think this is my favorite one tonight because everything is perfect about it. There's really no convincing contrary to why it's there. Like no one has any suggestions.
Crazy.
It was just one dude who's like, I bought this, but he didn't.
And with that, we're definitely keeping that. Kenny, Vish, final recording.
Alright, so this one is, I'm sure you've heard of the famous M Cave guy. That's Kenny. Was a hiker who, in 2014, made a video about a strange cave that he found. Here I have an image of a YouTube comment that he made regarding the M cave that he found, saying that the entrance to the cave was shaped like a perfect capital M. He entered the cave, my whole body began to vibrate. So I got the cave entrance towards the vibrating became. Suddenly I became very scared. It was one of the strangest things that ever happened. He said he was going to go out in hold on, let me find the YouTube video. In this video that he goes out to search for it, but he can't find it, and then he says, I'm going to search for it again. And then...
Oh, right, and then he disappears.
Yeah, and he disappeared. And he hasn't been found since.
And he was quite the experienced cave diver. It's not like this was an amateur.
Right. Yeah, this one's gotten a lot of coverage all over a bunch of different places, but I mean, I think that's just a testament. Strange occurrence.
Has anyone bothered to investigate the region that he was looking at?
I can see like clickbait YouTube videos that say M cave found, but I mean, I could watch them. I'm not sure.
What was the general area?
I know it's a long text, but they say that it's his girlfriend, commonly.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what, was he somewhere out west in the United States?
Yeah, I think so. Like in the deserts, like in Nevada or something. I forget where exactly he was, but from what I can see, no one has actually found.
Sharon Pilgrim.
And this wasn't like this wasn't like a prank or anything. Like this isn't him trying to make a publicity stunt. Like his girlfriend, his family have been looking for him for 5 years.
I mean, I think based on what his girlfriend was seeing, or what he's saying, like him going out the second time was just like some suicide mission. He's saying that he was depressed and had a lot of problems.
Well, that's the rebuttal, ain't it? Where people are just like, he didn't find the M cave, he just shot himself.
Well, this
in
is
some...
his. No, this is his girlfriend saying it.
I found I don't know if it's an actual Twitter account of his girlfriend or not, but I found this. And the last one, last tweet in 2016 is, at Eric the Hiker, are you back from your 3-day hike yet? Post on YouTube, but not here. I want to confirm you're back safe and sound. Could just be, someone who might go out, marry hitchhikers or hikers of some sort, and...
Right, but maybe, but well, I mean, they haven't found the body yet either. So I mean, the fact that he was just like shot himself, or was just murdered and is dead somewhere, because they haven't found any body despite having been searching for this.
That's freaky.
Oh, she has her own YouTube channel. Picture of one of Kenny V catching a rattlesnake.
Well,
that's about it.
Well, again, season 2 we can look deeper. Murphy's Law, structure of the universe. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Murphy's Law is the law that anything that will go wrong, or can go wrong, will go wrong. And the problem here is that Murphy never actually said that. What he said was, when people are involved, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. It's the first half that people frequently misquote. So I'm already skeptical of this theory.
And I think it's prime black material, because basically all I found on it, people saying that it's a law of the universe and that the point of the universe is to maximize pain and discomfort for all the inhabitants.
Yeah, that's an insta-black.
Also, it doesn't really make sense at all, because what is good and bad is, well, what is going wrong is quite subjective.
Right.
And plus, you have to consider, well, the Cold War.
The next one's coming up. This is a good batch of conspiracy theories. Pro-war Buddhism.
No, it's pro-war Buddhism. Amazing, not post-war. McMazing, what do you have to say about pro-war Buddhism? Now, for those of you listening, McMazing is a real Buddhist. We can use him as a source for this. Let's see what he has to say.
As he types it out and not actually says it.
You know, for someone who,
I like this image.
For someone who doesn't use their mic, your words per minute are awfully slow, Mike.
Believe war is the only way to continue meditation. Well, so the problem here is that we don't really sit down and write metaphysical beliefs here. It's like
Isn't it like Buddhist fundamental statute to never do anything hostile?
I don't recall that actually being directly stated in the Buddhist doctrine, no.
Well, if you look at the image I just posted, the Dalai Lama quote, he says if someone has a gun and is trying to kill you, it would be reasonable to shoot back.
Well, yeah, and self-defense, obviously.
Oh, so maybe the pro-war Buddhists are like a bunch of shit talkers who like try and provoke people into like going to war with them.
I don't know. Some scriptures I've seen have said something along the lines of attaining some sort of peace, I guess.
I mean, I know very little about Buddhism, but I would imagine it would be something like you have to become one with everything, even the things you don't like. So you gotta, like, you know, make peace with war by having war exist, not necessarily, like, actively participate.
everything's about reincarnation. It's always about cutting down bonds to escape it. Maybe this is just another way of cutting all the bonds.
Someone just randomly messaged me, Shalom.
What's their username?
I don't know, their name is Gabe. And they have
Well,
and they have the word Gabriel in Hebrew.
Well, Gabe has 3 alts, so keep that in mind.
Picked really bad. Anyway, next one up is Kubrick killed for Eyes Wide Shut. Now this is a classic. This is an all-time classic.
I mean, listen, for me, this one is pretty much an open and shut. Like, no, I mean, it's okay. So Kubrick makes Eyes Wide Shut, right? Which is a film about like secret sex cults of elites and shit like. The studio wants 24 minutes cut from the film. For the last minute, that's like an entire scene being cut, basically. That's like for a major film to be cut from, especially near like the end of production. But Kubrick says no, I don't want those cut, and since he has like legal right to refuse, he says I'm not cutting these 24 minutes. Never. I'm not. Nothing. No matter what you offer me, I'm not going to cut these 24 minutes. So the day after he refuses to cut 24 minutes, and then the studio now able to cut those 24 minutes from the movie and release. I mean, it's definitely a case of just like coincidence. I think like it's perfect. Essentially, they say he died of a heart attack. Just a couple years later, it was revealed that the CIA has weapons that can make the cause of death look like a heart.
Right, right.
I mean,
I think that's just a McDonald's burger.
Mind you, the movie did involve, it involved, Boson, wasn't it like sexual themes and the establishment?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly it's Hollywood, I think.
Yeah, no, it's just the plot of the movie is about a guy who accidentally goes to like a really intense like sexual party at a mansion and then is harangued by an elite class for the rest of the movie. Like there's the scene where he talks to his friend and he's like, if you knew the kind of people that were there, you'd, because they all wear masks and shit. It's just, you know.
There was a bunch of, I think, not homeless, but like they picked up whores off the street or something. It was something weird. It was some sort of plot point.
But yeah, definitely. I mean, the movie itself, the plot itself is just conspiracy theory. The fact that, like, I mean, come on. The day after he says he doesn't want to cut 24 minutes, he's fucking dead, and then they cut 24 minutes. It's such. I mean,
and he was in decent health for his age. It's not like he was like on the brink.
So yeah, if you look at his like medical records, he was fine. Like there was no evidence that he would even have a heart attack. It just was.
I can't wait for us to go in depth with this. I'm trying to interrupt us whenever we go too deep because we do have a season 2 planned for going in way deeper. With that being said, animism.
Second thing that comes up is Alan Moore.
What?
You know that comic book writer, the crazy one?
Yeah.
For some reason, he decides to give a lecture on magic, shamanism, and conspiracy theories. I don't know why. He himself
Have you have anything on anime?
No.
Yeah.
No.
That was a very confident no.
I guess we're just blocking it and moving on.
I mean, it's a spiritual belief, but I don't see a conspiracy attached to it.
Well, I understand a pretty surface level spiritual belief, if I'm being honest. So
everything has a spirit. That's the idea, including inanimate objects. So that's it.
UFO equals atmospheric life forms.
It's just the claim that UFOs are actually flying jellyfish creatures and not extraterrestrial.
Didn't we go over this before?
Probably. Some of them are repeats from previous gens.
Quite a bit of them are actually.
So what's the
'cause
basis
there's-
for this one?
Well, that the UFOs are just sort of just natural fauna of the Earth that live in the Earth, basically.
I think we would have to account for that with all the airplanes and the spacecraft then.
Yeah, but so you'd think you'd have like frequent moments where you'd be accidentally hitting them. No known creature can break the sound barrier the way UFOs have been known to do, so...
I suppose. But I think when you have creatures that are like, you know, you have animals that are like on the brink of extinction where it's like, oh yeah, there are only 30 of this left on the entire Earth. I think the fact that these things would be pretty rare, it could work. You can make it work. I'm not saying I believe it, but you could make it work.
It's a fun little thing to think about. I'll give it that.
Can't believe the gas is real.
Guess what, Sinaticus?
What?
It's technically a... So we can't lie.
Right. Connie Converse.
She was a famous or semi-famous musician in the 1950s. She disappeared sometime around 1974. The year before that, she was supposedly burnt out and depressed, according to a 2010 book, The Story of Connie Converse by Jefferson Cord, or Jefferson, or however. Her mother suggested to join her to a trip to Alaska. She agreed.
She disappeared, and like 60 years later, they uncovered her music, and they found that it was surprisingly modern. In fact, it was, as far as we know, the first instance of the singer-songwriter genre, but
Yeah.
lost to time.
Another one would be Jim Sullivan, who is mentioned in an X post related to Connie Converse. In 1975, he checked into a hotel. Some people who were there said he didn't sleep there. He just got a key. Was gone.
Yeah.
I think there were people who said that they saw like Jim Sullivan and Connie Converse like together at one point, and that's why he's also. If that's true, the fact that they both disappeared is a bit suspicious.
Okay. Lane Bryant shooting.
I mean, this one
I don't know why
happened.
this one's on the list.
I mean, this happened like less than an hour away from where I live.
It's like it's another instance of a shooting in the ghetto. The shooter is unknown. How is that chart?
It's a mass shooting, according to X. I looked it up on X. According to X, the reason it's up there is it's a mass shooting that the media completely ignored. There were no reports about it. I mean, before looking it up, you didn't know what it was. And the fact that the shooter is still unidentified, despite it being there being that many casualties, is
How many casualties?
5 deaths and 1.
5,000?
Yes.
What?
Yeah. 5,000 deaths.
5,000.
Nah.
No, it was 5. It was 5. 5 deaths and 1 injury. I don't know. I mean, you could say that it shouldn't be there, but it's just an odd incident. And it is odd to me that the shooter was never.
Yeah, but it doesn't really seem chart-worthy. A lot of murders go unsolved.
You're right, but this was technically a mass shooting. There are not a lot of unsolved mass shootings.
Tommy knockers.
Maybe there's just so many that America got bored of it.
Tommy knockers is A novel by Stephen King from 1987 remembers it fondly by being awful. I think this also falls in the same time sequence of when he was high off of practically every drug.
Well, what drugs was he high on?
I think, what was it? Cocaine? I want to say heroin, but I'm not sure. Bit of meth. A lot of, what was it? Codeine? Marijuana?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like Stephen King.
Yeah.
Well, according to X, Tommyknockers is the name of some creatures that live in mines.
Yep, evil gnomes.
Tommy
imps.
knockers? Mm.
Looking for more. Okay, here we go. A Tommyknocker or knocker is a supernatural being associated with mining in Cornish, Welsh, and American folklore. It's closely related with the leprechaun, the clocker, and the brownie, which, that's more of a German thing.
Huh, so they're like just mine monsters, like in Scooby-Doo.
I see some relations to it between Tommyknockers and the M Cave, actually.
I'm reminded a lot of those, what was it, the little gnomes they found with the little small houses? Up in the... Where was it? Somewhere in Maine?
Okay then.
PP's just saying, Blair killing you.
Aqua Tofana Mania.
It is a, from what I'm reading now, a odorless, colorless substance, a poison that was widespread in Italy in the 17th century. I'm reading into it. Well, it was sold as a cosmetic, but it was lethal.
How could they fuck that up?
Well, it was one woman that was making it, and it seems over 600 people are alleged to have died, mostly alcoholics. She was arrested and confessed to producing the poison, and she implicated a number of her clients, claiming that they knew what they were buying. She was subsequently executed.
Which, where was this?
This was in Italy, circa 1630.
Ah.
Basically, as close as you can get to an IRL witch, sold products that killed people, got away with it for...
You know, that reminds me of, you know, there's just instances where people poison their food at carnivals and shit. But I guess this is just on a larger scale.
Isn't that just like all the drug dealers? They lace their drugs with shit?
I guess so, but, you know, especially with drug dealers, the clients knew that they were getting into some dangerous territory.
And also with like major companies that produce asbestos products back then.
Monsanto, cough cough.
Yeah, this isn't really new, I suppose.
But it is weird. That's like 600 people from one person. That's you know.
I think it's just, I think what makes it interesting is that, she knew what she was doing. Oh, she was doing it for 50 years, wow.
What a bitch. Like, why would, does it say that there's like a reason as to why she did it, or?
It's always the Italians.
It doesn't really have a reason. It just there's a list of general ingredients that we still don't know how to reproduce it, but we know what she put in it, including arsenic and lead.
Ooh.
Yikes.
Oh, goddamn.
I've heard of this one before. Vladimir Petrov's dog experiments.
I don't know if we had the video last time, but I figured I found it.
Yeah.
Oh, is the dog video the one where
Yeah, they have that severed head on the wires, and it's like responding.
Karbon,
Petrovich
no.
his middle name, his last name is
What?
Demikov.
Do you guys believe in this? What
Hey,
is it?
Karbon, guess what? It's Dogbot. You did.
Hey,
It's
it's
a
my old
dog head.
persona.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
did,
remember seeing this video
he
when
was-
people kept on bringing it up.
He was famous for doing a lot of organ transplants. He was a pioneer in the field. Most of his experiments were on animals. I don't think he did anything on humans, but I might be wrong.
I mean, considering this was like what, Russia? If this is real, then they probably tried it on humans, right?
Yeah. Here's a picture of 2 dog heads. Oh, that's not what I wanted.
Do you guys believe in it? Like, what's the consensus
go.
on this?
This makes me feel very uncomfortable.
It wouldn't surprise me if such an experiment did occur, but whether or not it carried out like we're told is factual is another.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
are
I'm
you
not
saying you
sure
don't
if
believe the
it's
video evidence that's been presented? You think that's fake?
I mean, a lot of people think that the Americans make this space race for political reasons. This could also be another thing.
I guess.
I mean, that's not really earth-shattering. I mean, just saying that commies abuse dogs isn't really.
Well, no, that they were able to keep a dog's head alive with nothing but machine.
Or, well, do you actually believe that they would have been able to do that?
I mean,
I don't
sure.
say I couldn't.
I mean,
And
it's
if you look at the video I posted,
I've seen the video. Okay.
What?
I'm just saying, it would be easy to fucking fake that.
It would also be easy to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know.
But that being said, we can look into this further for another day. Sentient clouds.
Literally cannot look it up without looking at Portal 2 articles.
Right, so blacked. Leland Melvin sighting.
I can't believe it. Malvin's real.
Hold on, let me.
Oh, it's a black astronaut.
A black astronaut.
That's truly the conspiracy.
So it's truly based.
Here's the true.
He's an astronaut who says he saw you.
Of course.
Oh, he's from Woodbridge, Virginia. That's really close.
Always go there and see if you can find his old house, if it hasn't been burned.
What is that supposed to mean?
Take what you mean.
I take it we have nothing on it? Or am I...
Yeah.
Well, there's just a bunch of articles about how he saw a UFO while he was up in his.
Wow.
It's pretty cut.
Alright, Dugaway Proving Ground.
Army facility, established 1942 for biological and chemical weapons. 85 miles southwest of Salt Lake City. That's pretty close, still.
Hold on, I'm looking at something.
Karbon, stop. What the fuck?
I think this is only put into question because there's this stigma against chemical weapons thanks to Resident Evil and the media.
From what X is telling me is that there were a few UFO sightings there.
What does that have to do with chemical weapons back in the
I have no idea.
Hey, but if you look in voice, here's a cool picture from the base.
You can find all sorts of chemicals from an alien if they had a different body
Oh,
chemistry.
of course it's alien.
Why is that room so big? It's not really... It's just cool, actually. That's really all it is.
Hold on, here's another cool picture from it's still not okay. There it is. Here's another cool picture from the base. where you can see lights overhead that people say are UFOs.
So this is aliens, right?
Apparently. According to X, everything is it.
I don't get it though. I mean, that just looks like fucking stars and shit. Doesn't it look like a really standard image to you?
Yeah. Typically glow that way.
I think you should focus less on the alleged UFO status and more if there's ever been disappearances near that base or something.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, you're right there. That's probably more. Disappearances are, you know, more reputable than just UFO sightings.
What is Club 21?
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Did you have more on the proving runs?
I was like, hey, look, it's that map from every FPS ever, the container map.
God.
Hey, it's Rainbow Six Siege, Burnt Horizon.
No, it's shipping from Battlefield 3.
It's Karbon's homeland.
So,
it's the gun world.
So what's Club 21?
Referring to the Disney thing.
Oh, right.
Club 21.
I love ones related to Disney.
Yeah, because you're a
fan. Nice train, Boson.
At least I can sleep at night.
Oh, fuck off. Kill yourself.
You know, something I like about that picture that people posted is, it's basically the Chinese version of the iceberg. Like, if you look at all the text in the back, that's China's iceberg.
It's a pretty shallow iceberg. I guess the rest of it's covered up, right?
Oh my god. That would be a great thing for Season 3 if we can get some kind of international iceberg going on.
Yeah.
Did we add height verification to RPC?
Oh no, Karbon and I can't get in anymore.
We had like rules for the height.
No. You'd be able to get in, but you'd only be able to post in equal but separated channels.
Yeah, you have two versions of every channel, 6 feet and under 6 feet.
So, Boson, what is the Club 21? Do you have it?
Also under 6 feet.
Not really. I mean, it's just sort of referring to the clubs that he had at fucking Disneyland, right? Where they had sort of the secret meetings that only the most elite would be invited to.
I mean, that's kind of... Was Disney really that shady of a character? I knew he was racist, but I mean...
I mean, who was back then wasn't?
Maybe...
I don't know that it was even... Hold on. When was it started?
He wasn't abnormally racist.
Is it even like something shady, or is it just more like champagne sipping?
I've heard varied versions. Such as that Club 21's like a pedophile group.
Oh, of course. Yeah, every time you get a bunch of rich people
obviously,
together.
it's attached to the whole Disney trafficking theory.
Oh, okay. Any consensus on it, though?
I mean...
Is that even a theory if it's
Here's the thing, right?
Club?
I take this kind of stuff very seriously. And to me, whilst I have no evidence that the Disney Corporation does this, if I were filthy rich and I wanted to do this through a company, who would I want to do it through? And Disney just makes the most sense to me. Who would ever suspect them?
Everybody, apparently.
Who would be brave enough to actually go after them, even if they did?
Yeah, 44 bags.
Yeah, but they wouldn't succeed. I'm talking about major prosecutors, people who are actually in power. Who in power who could actually do anything about it would actually go after them.
I mean, I guess you would be a laughingstock. But then again, you might as well just like start investing in Toys R Us.
Maybe like a rival corporation. This is some like cyberpunk shit.
I don't think you understand how large the Disney Corporation is.
No, I agree. It's extremely large, and I guess now that you mention it like that, it does make sense. No self-respecting individual would go after Disney like that, I don't think.
It's an example, in my opinion, of the perfect crime. We never hear about it because just bothering to investigate Disney related to this is just so out of the question.
I mean, you could argue that that's how the Jews get away with things. I mean, I feel like that's kind of stretching it, right? You know, nobody wants to go after the Jews because they're so, oh, you're an anti-Semite. You know, like you kind of go into.
Well, no, people go after Jews. You just can't do it the same way people like Bodhi do because they're legitimate anti-Semites.
Yeah.
I go after fellow Jews all the time, as a matter of fact. But that's neither here nor there.
You better edit that out, Sinaticus.
Our next theory is the Moon of Memphis.
McMazing, this is all you, buddy.
Man, McMazing has been dying to talk about this one. I can.
Really? Is this something he's autistic about?
Well, whilst
he
types
lives in Memphis.
Oh,
whilst he types away, I will quickly use the restroom.
Have fun peeing.
Some kid found a moon-like UFO in 1964. He watched as the...
Jesus Christ. What is that?
It's a file UTS block of text.
Where are the churches mentioned?
This church is here? What?
Right, so apparently he used it to decode this is the message from
Stop.
Oh my god.
to the people
He's
of the
looking
world.
at us
We was important.
Oh, man. Well, when he's done posting it all, and when Sinaticus comes back, Baph, you're gonna read it, right?
I mean, I'm gonna find excerpts that are worth reading.
Okay, then Boson.
Obviously, McMazing couldn't be asked to pick it through himself.
Yeah, because whenever he speaks, everybody who hears him fucking dies.
WTF spam? He's gonna get muted.
Do it.
Anyway, he found a UFO. Apparently. I mean, I like how it just glosses over that fact and immediately jumps into decrypting it.
Yeah,
did some word math based on the date and position of the UFO, and it resulted in a cryptid message relating to religion.
And watch it fly away. What word? Where does the word math play in?
I feel like this is just Memphis trying to be relevant.
Well, I don't understand. Where does the word math come from?
I think he's talking about numerology, where in Hebrew every single letter has a numerical value.
What? Where does it mention letters though?
I don't know. He starts talking
he
about
just glossed.
Jesus.
It's like he fucking glossed over the UFO part so fast that he just. Okay, it's explained in the article apparently.
So I don't see a typed out explanation. Oh, there it is. I told you I went to the bathroom.
Well, now you have to read all of it, so get cracking.
Using many of the words decoded. Oh, fuck. Oh, yes. Another Memphis conspiracy. We got loads of him. Some kid found a moon-like UFO in 1964. He watched as the real moon rose beside it and watched it fly away. Absolute madman. Did some word math based on the date and the position of the UFO resulted in a cryptic message relating to religion. Here's a specific message. Oh no. It's a bunch. Okay. Using many of the words decoded, this is the possible message. To the people of the world, I, William of the Divine God, the Holy Spirit, the Great Spirit, and the Good Creator greets you with this message. And The 1964 Moon of Memphis offers the Messiah, Jesus Christ, Savior in spirit, and the Virgin Mary, the Holy Mother. Jehovah and Yahweh of the Jewish people of Israel and Zion gives thanks to Joseph, Mary, Jesus, the birth city of the Savior's Spirit, the cross in Jerusalem. The people of religion of Christ, Judaism, Islam, Taoism, Sikhism, Hindu, Buddhism, and the Great Spirit should show love, peace, and honor, charity, your good creator, the Moon of Memphis over America. This is a bunch of fucking word salad. This is fucking useless.
Is Sikhism even related?
Not even close. I am fucking blacking this and moving on.
It's just a bunch of shit.
Oh god, he posted more.
Well, that was a bunch of my time I'll never get back. Hold up.
I mean, UFOs, miracles of God.
Hold up.
Hold up.
There we go. Much better.
Virtual campfire. Wait, so let me see.
Okay, up next. Penises are inverted vaginas.
Isn't that just a fact?
By the way, we are 5 minutes away from the 2-hour mark.
Okay.
Is this transgenderism?
Yeah.
Yeah, TBH.
Sounds like something people just put in.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, men do start off with vaginas.
Yeah, but it doesn't invert. That area is like where your taint is, and it just covers up.
Yeah.
So I don't understand where the whole inversion comes from.
I don't understand either. Hopefully our Google monkeys can cook one up.
Your Google monkeys.
Do you think I could find anything on?
Yeah, I guess that's another Insta Black, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just fucking crazy.
Lansing Man.
Alright.
This one's my favorite.
Alright, well go ahead. Baph.
No, Judge Boy wants to go.
Alright, you said it was your favorite, so I wanted to get...
Oh, by the way, the Sinaticus conspiracy theory, it's on this line. We all have that one conspiracy theory we want to talk about. The second one of mine is on this line.
Alright, well, I know what it is, but right now I'm a Lansing Man.
Okay.
The Lansing Man was a particular skull that was found along with several other human remains on the banks of the Missouri River near Lansing, Kansas, in 1902. It was found by a man called Martin Cannon. He's apparently digging out a fruit cellar. There's a lot of... No one's really sure about the time or the date of the remains. A lot of people say 10,000, others say 35,000 years ago, predating the Ice Age. Baph, you want to continue?
I mean, you pretty much nailed it on the head. They found a body digging for a shop, and the soil he was under was undisturbed for some 30,000 years, which is way, way older than humans in North America was originally predicted.
Well, you said originally. Did that prediction change since?
No, it hasn't, because this is a very strange occurrence.
No one's really sure about it, and I'm trying to find how far he dug down.
How many thousand years ago was it like determined people actually did get to North America?
I think it was 15,000? Hold on.
So that's like twice as much. Wow. Alright.
And bridge.
Some of this stuff's whack, man. It's weird. It's crazy. Now, by undisturbed soil, are you sure it's 100% like undisturbed?
Yeah, it says here that the remains were found beneath 20 feet of undisturbed deposits.
20 feet. It should have been disturbed at that point, though.
Was there anything on the body? Did he like what sort of era human was he like?
It was a modern human skull, well preserved, and a child's mandible alongside.
Well, that's fucking weird.
Yep.
Child mandible.
I guess we're keeping that one.
Every once in a while, you find a human skeleton that just defies common science.
Yeah, well, people can do some pretty fucked up shit to each other, so... Serbians turned to stone.
Well, this is a story of a particular town in Serbia called Devil's Town. Yeah, that's a picture there. So, according to legend, those stone pillars are not naturally occurring, but are in fact solidified wedding guests that God turned to stone.
I hear a Serbian legend coming on.
Yeah, it is. It is a Serbian legend. I don't remember why he turned them to stone.
I feel like it'd be pretty easy to check just by X-raying.
Was it a witch?
Hold on.
It's a pretty tall wedding guest.
Hold on.
Let me unmute myself.
Okay, so the devil told the brother and sister to marry each other, and then God turned them to stone.
Oh.
Well, you know, it's kind of like, I'm not sure if any of you have been to Israel-Palestine, but, if you go on a tour there, every tour guide will point to, like, the same pillar and claim that it's, Abraham's... No, not Abraham's. Who's the girl that got turned into a pillar of salt?
Lot's wife.
Lot's wife, right. I keep getting them mixed up. I keep thinking Lot is some separate person, but he's not. They claim that that's Lot's wife, and it's just like, couldn't we easily prove this just by taking a fucking hammer to it? There should be some sort of effigy of a human somewhere in there.
Well, if she was completely turned to salt, it wouldn't.
Yeah, if you yeah, that's what I like. If you turn someone to stone or turn them into salt, there's going to still be like a human skeleton inside. They're turned to stone.
Well, then I guess there's no way of proving it. Moving on. Well, now, this is my second one. The first one was Atlantis, who everyone knows I'm a big advocate of. Now, as terrible as this sounds, you have no idea how much I want this to be real.
Atlantis?
No, well, Atlantis is real, but no, not that. Okay? Elven Holocaust. Now, I've done a fair bit of digging into this, and from what I understand, and I could be wrong, I imagine the people who do the Googling are doing the Googling. It is a theory that purports that elves really do exist, or really did exist, but that the human race committed a 1,000-year Holocaust against them.
That's really based.
They killed all the twins.
Which is why elves appear in almost every folklore imaginable, yet don't exist.
They escaped to a higher dimension.
How are they described in folklore?
They're just described in a fuck ton of folklore. What else do you want?
It's kind of like how a flood is ubiquitous in every...
What's the baseline description?
Well, the description changes from culture to culture, but they're still colloquially known as the elves. Every culture tends to have a different version of it. Yeah, but you see, Baph, at one point, Baph, at what point is it supposed to be just coincidence? Like, are you telling me that there wasn't some kind of global flood and that every group decided not to record it?
Well, I think it's because flooding is something literally any group of humans will eventually experience. So when you write hyperbolic tales, it's going to be things you're afraid of. Like how most Europeans, regardless if they contacted each other, have scary stories in the trees.
Yeah, but like, Baph, the stories are so similar. Some of them even specify 8 people on the boat.
I mean, stories spread around. They had a lot of trade that went around the world. I mean, do you have this kind of stuff with the Native American?
Yes.
Yes.
Every ancient culture, every basic ancient culture has universally recorded a flood story. And there's more than just the flood that's eerily similar to them. There's the means in which they made the boat, there's the reasoning as to why they made the boat, and like I said, even some of them specify 8 people. This isn't just an exclusively biblical phenomena. And so my point is, maybe it's not evidence, because everyone here knows that I'm sincerely religious, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to hide that. I'm not saying that this is proof that the Bible existed. What I'm saying is that this is most certainly evidence that some event palpable to what is described didn't, or at the very least likely occurred. It's not too much.
A great flood.
It's not too much for me to think that potentially there was a global flood, and that story got passed down from people to people, and I think it's kind of the same situation here. At what point do we take all these commonalities and say, well, they're just commonalities and nothing else?
About the gatekeepers, like the only thing I could find is something on 4Plos, just some guy mentioning it.
Well, did you guys actually find anything on Elven Holocaust?
I mean, what I found was that image that I posted.
I found a bunch of stuff mentioning DMT elves.
What? Karbon, fucking stop.
I felt like we went over this before, actually.
I would totally
It was
be fine
at
with
the
an Elven.
end of the very first Iceberg, and I immediately fell in love with it afterwards.
Oh.
Ah.
Ashtar Command.
I guess we can Ashtar Command, eh?
This doesn't look right. Something's odd. It's asking
Oh,
me
yes,
to buy a book.
How long does each session usually go?
Each
About
session
200.
lasts as long as we want to go. Baph, Boson, Rynox, how you feeling?
There's a few that I have open that I would like to get to.
Okay. But are you feeling tired?
Well, it's a little late, but, you know, it's not too bad at the moment.
I say we could definitely go forward for, like, another, at the very least, half hour if we really wanted to, maybe even more. Let's get this show on the road. Instant black for gatekeepers, apparently.
Why? What do you mean?
Oh, well, sorry. Rynox said he found nothing. Go ahead. You've got the floor.
The Gatekeeper's Remorse refers to a specific, one second. Refers to, God, I hate fucking image loading. It's so slow on Discord. Alright, okay. It refers to this chart of books that circulates on XCon. Some of which we referenced in earlier Iceberg sessions, actually.
Oh, yep, there's low.
Yeah, there's low, operators and things. I think we've referenced the 8th tower before.
We have.
But yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
just basically a reading list that once you read all the books on it is like a enlightenment sort of. Well, the one book that always catches my interest is the Goblin Universe. What a weird name.
Why is it called Gatekeeper's Remorse?
Yeah, you know, I have no idea. Like, honestly,
so
X is weird. Just the X is weird.
I think they just like having cool names for things.
Yeah, but that's not even a cool name.
Gatekeeper's Remorse? I think it's cool.
Cool. What the fuck?
At least have some sort of related name, like Gatekeeper's Ascension, or the Red Pilling. I don't fucking know.
The Red Pilling. I don't know. Ascension, like. Ugh.
Well, it conjures in my head images of a man standing at a gate letting people through, but regretting letting sort of this idea where it's like, yeah, you can come through, you can ascend, you can learn the knowledge, but you won't like sort of.
Yes, that's
sort
what
of
I
has
was
remorse for giving them the knowledge that they'll ultimately regret it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. That's based. That's really clever. That's Bodhi. That's Bodhi right there.
I thought the last book's cover was Garfield. Kind of looks like Garfield from the distance.
It does a little bit, doesn't it? That's some box tier shit right now. Oh yeah, that's gatekeepers are more confused by that after the like it.
It just reminds me of Trolls more. That's the only association from that.
Alright, interestingly enough. Interestingly enough. Facebook content moderator suicide.
There's actually quite a bit of mainstream attention to this. In fact, an article was posted a couple days ago. So apparently a number, I don't know if there's any confirmed deaths, a large number of Facebook's moderation team reports extreme stress and just forlorn with their job.
Damn.
Most of it's about memes or Nazis or murder or suicide. Gets kind of silly after a while.
Oh yeah, no, I remember I hear they say it's like, oh, it's so disturbing the things we find and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, do 4chan moderators have a high... do Jannies have a high rate of suicide?
It would seem so.
At least the Facebook ones.
We can only hope.
We can only hope.
That's how we get rid of the mods.
Someone I remember
That's
made
how we get rid of the mod team.
Oh, I accidentally recorded myself talking to blaring in DMs. Great, I'm gonna have to do more reactions on this. Okay, mimetic desire scapegoat theory.
Oh, well, this refers to, it's a theory of some guy named Rene Girard. All desires are mimetic, meaning that we get it from other people, just because, you know, as, like, creatures, we like to mimic the things that other people do.
I'm not
It's like
buying
all the desires that we have are mimetic, and all of the, not mimetic, but mimetic.
That's not too far-fetched, not at all.
Yeah, the tendency towards conflict comes from mimetic rivalry. Where we take our hatred of others from other people. This, like I said, it refers to scapegoat theory, and with the origin of organized sacrifice, and as such, the origin of human culture.
I'm not buying it.
Why?
It just seems so implausible to me.
Why?
The idea that my desires are not my desires. They are everyone else's desires that are being pushed onto me.
I don't see how that's really out of the, like...
You know what it is for me? It ruins the illusion of free will, purporting it exists.
My thing against it would be counterculture. If people absorb, like, the desires and the thoughts of people around them, then counterculture will probably win it.
Well, that in itself...
Well, no, that's them absorbing the... That's mimetic rivalry. That's taking the desires and then having the sort of sense of conflict. Using...
I would argue that it's actually a bunch of others taking the desires of other people that are already naturally rebellious.
Right, but in order to like be a counterculture, in order to go against the grain, you would still have to know what the desire is. So that would still be you knowing the desires of other people enough to go against them, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, that would be a
even
thing.
Then,
express it verbally and through text. So
that'd still be your desire.
It's not really conspiracy, just common.
Micro penis worship.
Alright,
This is something. This is like no memes here, but this is something Baph likes to talk about.
Wait, what?
No, you talk about. Well, you talk about how, like, in ancient societies, like, smaller pieces were seen as much.
All I've ever pointed out is that ancient societies saw small penises as more human and elegant, and if you had a large one, you were an ape, a barbarian. But I don't know if that's a conspiracy.
Well, there's a link that Judge Boy just posted, and could you give us a TLDR on that link, Judge Boy?
Micro-penis conspiracy.
Thank you, H.N.
I mean, the link. Let's see what I can find here. I don't see any pictures. Okay.
God.
First comment is big if true. The first comment is big if true, so allow me to read this real quick.
Do you want me to do the brace yourselves for the truth bit? Or do you want to do the introductory and the...
You can read brace yourselves for the truth. I'll read the first part. So here's a question that's being presented. Ever notice how the porn industry uses the same few thousand actors in every production? What's with that? Surely there are at least a few 100,000 guys desperate to land a gig in the industry, right? Did you ever look around in the shower after gym and notice everybody has a less than impressive penis, but later heard of them bragging about having large ones? What's on there? Seems a little odd, right?
Brace yourselves for the truth. Quote, the U.S. government has been dosing all of the global food and water supply with hormone-altering chemicals that stunt penis growth and render you a permanent micropenis for the rest of your life. They then use porn and social conditioning to humiliate people with small dicks. Everyone, and manipulate them into masochism so that they will willingly become slaves. Porn is shot with children who have never ingested penis-altering chemical, and a large percentage are the children of elite families that have their own private food and water supply. Your friends lied about their penis size because they have been conditioned to be ashamed of their micrococks and lie about it. Around 95% of the global population have little baby penises. They just refuse to admit it.
Oh my god.
I think the way you can disprove that is just ask a bunch of gay people. They've seen all the dick.
Big
Just
if
a
true.
reference, this is on /B of HN, so take that as you will.
I'm saving this thread.
It's because he identifies with this one.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that was so fantastical. I'm keeping it. Atlanta Blackout 2017.
This one's less interesting unless I'm reading the wrong thing. There was a power outage at America's largest airport. I mean, there's really nothing weird about it, other than the fact Chick-fil-A was the first people on scene to provide food. I don't see anything weird.
I mean, honestly, I think it's just because it's a big airport. What, the Dallas airport? Which one is it?
It's the Atlanta airport. I mean...
I would like to interrupt you just for 1 second to note that we have passed the 20-hour mark.
Holy shit, what the fuck have you guys been up to?
Congratulations, everyone. We have successfully wasted 20 hours of our lives on this.
Based.
I think I'm gonna black the Atlanta Blackout 2017. Roman metaphysics.
I mean, I don't have anything on it, dude.
I think we've done this every time where I bring up Roman metaphysics, I want to know about it, and then everyone says, I ain't got anything.
Yeah, the fuck is metaphysics even?
Well, because all we can find are like basic articles about how like they believed in, they had like polytheism. That's pretty much all that we can find.
The Romans were especially funky with theirs because they just keep taking a bunch of different mythologies and mashing them together.
Of course.
Hold up, I gotta get back to my recorder. Yeah, so I guess we're just gonna black that. How many more lines do we want to do?
That's usually the one that would be the one that says I'm tired, end it. So,
I mean, I'm not. I mean, if we're all feeling sleepy, I mean, there's no rush.
I'm not feeling sleepy. I guess we're just gonna keep going. Bethesda created Bitcoin.
I think that one isn't me.
I mean, the only proof I say in quotes is that a day after the original Bitcoin manifesto was posted, Bethesda released Fallout 3, and the owner of the company and the creator of Bitcoin have a somewhat similar backstory, and the word Bethesda and the full name of the company, if you take all the letters apart, you can get the word Bitcoin out of it. It's really fun.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's Bethesda and ZeniMax or something like that.
Yeah, ZeniMax Corporation owns Bethesda. Enchanted websites.
I mean, I googled that, and it's a website that hasn't been updated since 2002.
All right, good start. Good start.
I will link it.
Those are my favorite websites that haven't been updated since 2002.
Here you go.
Oh
You can tell because it's in 4x3 formatting.
I'm about to say, look at that 4x3 formatting enable Adobe Flash.
Actual curse.
I don't know about you guys, but this website in on itself is enchanted.
The color scheme is enchanted.
Oh my god, look at this. Jesus.
It's literally enchanted diamond armor.
So what about WebDriver torso codes?
Well, you're familiar with WebDriver Torso in general, yes. Isn't it the weird YouTube test videos that are... It's a channel, isn't it?
All
yeah, let me see if I can find the video link. And also something that I think I discovered while doing these Icebergs, if you Google WebDriver Torso, look at the logo that happens when you...
Post a screenshot.
Just Google. You have the internet.
Yeah, show the audience content.
The top of YouTube changes to WebDriver Torso.
Yeah, it changes to a bunch of blocks.
I see.
And here I'm linking in a WebDriver Torso video. So look at this quality content. But yeah, from what I know, there isn't actually anything like actual codes. It's just a test video.
Yeah, it's just a test video. The day the Earth screamed.
That is a science fiction short story by Arthur Conan Doyle. The idea is that someone drilled all the way into the earth until they reached the mantle. Someone was convinced that the mantle was an actual living creature, and that by doing so, the first person to alert it to mankind's presence, he awakens the giant creature, which then proceeds to destroy his excavation, covering the spectators in a noxious liquid in the process. I'm looking for conspiracy bits. The only thing I keep finding is flat Earth, so does anyone have anything else?
Well, perhaps maybe it's purporting that the creature in the short story is real.
I mean, yeah, that's what I could.
Which is
Well, what's the
ridiculous. But
Do you think?
absolutely, the entire mantle being a living
So,
being.
well, I can assume you.
That's some Lovecraftian shit right there.
You can assume what now? You keep cutting out.
Well, you've been there, right? So you would.
I've never
You've
been
been
to
to the
the mantle, no, but no known creature could live at such depths. It's too warm.
Okay, here it is. It says that it's a...
No, I mean like bacteria could have been nothing, you know.
Yeah, it says that it's an Enchidus.
Yeah, mantle-sized bacteria.
Well, see, this is the thing. It wouldn't be a known creature, would it? Since we haven't been there.
I suppose you're right, but this is like, well, just because we have an absence of evidence that shows that the mantle isn't a creature,
If you're
logically it must be.
if you're gonna start doing this to things on the fucking iceberg list, we're gonna be here all. And we have no evidence to fucking just because we have an absence of evidence about the Elven Holocaust.
Elven Holocaust.
Nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
We're gonna have to go out
I would love
and,
an Elven Holocaust. It's based.
Elven
What about the
Holocaust.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe the Jews were actually...
Oh! Sinaticus, is that why elves are always, made to look like rich assholes in media? It's just there's subconscious bias against them.
That's not
You
true.
know,
Tolkienian elves
elves are
aren't
also
based off Jews. The dwarves are, actually.
You know, the dwarves used to be called the Dark Elves.
No.
Maybe. Hard to tell.
Why was it disguised elf?
How can dark elves even compete?
Spoke legends of his ancestors. I'm gonna black that one. It's an
Well, wait a
interesting-
second, Sinaticus. If you're gonna listen, if the mantle is a that we are unaware of currently at our current level of scientific, that would make it a cryptid.
It's also unaware of us, supposedly.
No.
That would
You
make
see,
it a cryptid.
I
That would
can
make it a
put-
cryptid,
I can
Sinet.
put the word absolutely not. I'm gonna put down this argument right now. Okay, if I put the word Dave, it'd say, well, Dave is this ghostly figure that figures your asshole. Now, obviously, that doesn't actually happen. But because Dave is a cryptid, we can't black him. I guess Dave now exists and he figures your asshole.
Listen, Sinaticus, you can add whatever hypothetical, but we've decided that we don't black the cryptid. And the creature
we're
of
not
the center of the
blacking
earth would be a
Dave.
cryptid.
Hold up, give me a second.
Dave isn't on the list, is he?
But is he? Oh, but is he?
You're looking for some weird sex shit, aren't you?
No. I'm looking for... There we go. Hold up.
There's something in particular.
There we go. Now, continuing on.
I cannot believe that Sinaticus is coming up with a false analogy just to not follow one of our most basic.
Nonsense! I didn't black the day the Earth screamed. It's on there.
So if the mantle fingered her ass, it'd be
Well, it's a false analogy because I can look at my asshole. There's no fingers in there. We can't. We haven't looked at the
correction.
mantle. We haven't been.
There's no fingers there yet.
So Baph is the cryptid.
The Baph's coming for you, Boson.
Okay, let's. What's next, Sinaticus?
Up
Next.
next, up next is flat ontology. So flat ontology is a model for reality that says that all objects, even those that are imagined, have some degree of beingness as any other object. No object is more a subject than any other. All subjects are simply objects. The key factor is determining ontology is the ability of an object to affect another object. So, in other words, this is actually similar to the God's head theory, which I kind of like. And what it basically states is that everything that exists has a level of ontology, no matter how mundane. So, our current understanding of ontology is that humans have the highest level of ontology, animals are lower, but they still have their own ontology, they still have their own state of being. Flat ontology says that this cube on my desk also has a secondary metaphysical property which could be considered its ontology.
Okay. Well, how would that relate to being flat, exactly?
It has nothing to do with being flat. The idea is that ontology in on itself is a flat concept. It applies to everything, not just certain things.
Okay.
To be quite honest, as someone who's, I wouldn't say learned, but well-read on the subject of ontology, I'm not convinced by the theory on any level. Ontology requires intelligence. You can't have any ontological properties without first having pre-existing intelligence. Oh, fuck. I inverted the... Damn it. There we go.
Can't believe he inverted his P.
Guys, I have a vagina now!
Oh my gosh, he proved it right.
I proved it right. It's a functioning vajono. Deep sea lab techs.
Sounds like Rapture.
It's one of those that are a bit too vague. Baph, you have any?
What are we on?
Deep sea lab techs. See?
Oh yes, yes, I'm on that. I just finished reading about that. Stop being an incel, Boson.
Hey, what's up with deep sea lab techs, Baph?
Okay, so it refers to a project by the Navy called Sea Lab, done in the experiments were done in trailer-sized pods. There were little stationary submarines that you would anchor to the floor. The idea was every subsequent test would test human endurance underwater for extended periods of time in an unsupervised setting.
Was a dolphin ever mentioned?
There was. His name is Tuffy, and he delivered supplies. I put him in void.
Oh, I'm thinking of a different experiment then.
Anyway, the Sea Lab program didn't really have anything shady about it, but since it happened in the 60s, some tinfoil hippies might forward the claim that it was a torture.
I see no reason why it couldn't have been torture from the CIA in the 60s.
What were the results of the experiments, Baph?
Let's see.
I can only guess everyone died underwater.
Oh god.
I don't like that, but what happened?
According to John Panay Craven, the U.S. Navy's head of submarine systems, of which Sea Lab was a part, claimed that Sea Lab was plagued with strange failures at the very start of operations, including random leaks, cuts of oxygen. According to Craven, while the other divers were undergoing the week-long decompression, repeated attempts were made to sabotage their air supply by someone aboard the command barge.
No, that's conspiracy word.
A potentially unstable suspect was identified by the staff psychiatrist, but the culprit was never prosecuted.
Ooh. Ooh. I like this.
I gotta keep this We gotta keep it.
The Sea Lab program came to a halt, and although the Sea Lab 3 habitat was retrieved, it was eventually scrapped without giving the public information about it. Aspects of the research continued, but no new habitats were built.
What are you reading, Baph? What's the source?
This is off Wikipedia.
Okay.
Oh, shit. Alright.
Post an example of a Sea Lab in the chat.
Oh, that looks sweet.
Fairly comprehensive buildings. But these were 6,000 feet underwater.
Hashtag revive the Sea Lab program.
Hashtag revive Sea Lab 2021.
Hashtag revive Tuffy the Dolphin using Russian
Russian dog egg experiment.
I almost missed the whole potential conspiracy bit. Good thing I looked back at.
Yeah.
Thanks to Judge Boy for making him read.
The 66 books of the Bible binding numbers, I googled it myself and I can't find anything on it.
Well, according to the theory, the Bible has exactly 66. Can you confirm that?
Yes. It has 39 books in the Christian Old Testament and 27 books in the New Testament. That's 66.
Yeah, the entire conspiracy is basically, isn't it weird that there are 66 books in the Bible?
No. Why would that be weird? As a matter of fact...
Considering what the number of the beast is, basically.
It's one off, I guess.
Yeah, but, the problem with that is that there are actually confirmed missing books, and that doesn't account for, books that are part of, supposed non-canonical sections, such as the Apocrypha, or the pseudo-typigrapha, some people know it as.
Well, right. It refers to the idea that whoever assembled the current Bible we have had an agenda.
Well, that in on itself is even...
Which is where the binding numbers come into play. This is the idea of, wizard shit, where it's numbers have very important meaning. So by putting 66 books in the Bible, they were essentially putting some kind of fucking, weird curse on.
Except for the fact that the Jewish version has the Book of Kings as one book, not two. And we have the confirmed fact that there are missing books, such as the references to the writings of the prophet Nathan, which are referenced throughout Scripture, yet are not present.
I feel like that's only more evidence for me, because that means that whoever was assembling the Bible, at least in its current version, deliberately decided to split a book into two, just so they could have specifically 60.
Oh, no doubts there. I'm just saying there are holes in the idea that that naturally occurred.
Right, which I think only purports the conspiracy part of it.
Uh-oh. Oh, Rhythm
just...
fucking crashed.
Oh.
Are you serious?
Yikes.
Okay, I guess I'll play the campfire. I'll play the campfire on my end, so that way people still get the aesthetic.
I can't believe how angry that dog has been.
You guys will just have to imagine it on your end.
I keep Rhythm muted. Anyway.
Well, that was weird. I don't know. The whole history of the current Bible is pretty fucked. An example would be that, for the longest time, Jews really only kept to the first 5 books and kept the other books separate. They weren't part of any biblical canon until much, much later. Just my hot take on it. Groundhog Day was invented for the movie. Now, this is just dumb.
No, you see, here's the thing. There is absolutely no evidence for it. I'll tell you what, I believe. There's no evidence whatsoever, but I'll tell you, I believe that Groundhog Day was invented as a fucking marketing campaign for this film.
It's kind of like how Santa Claus was invented by Coca-Cola.
Right.
No, I don't blame you. There's no evidence for the Elven Holocaust. But I
are you
told you,
talking
you
about?
have no idea how much I want for that to be real. So I'm willing to concede that there's no evidence for it, but still claim it's
Elven
real.
Holocaust is
But
just a world
Sinaticus,
building
your
meme.
people want every Holocaust to be real.
But the thing is that I'm gonna have to black this one. It's not as juicy as the other one. Just keep.
I understand.
Torsen Fields.
Pseudo-scientific proposal that the quantum spin of particles can be used nations to vacuum orders of magnitude faster than the speed of light. It's based on a theory of a number of unfounded claims and scams. Original proponents is A. Akimov and G. Shupov.
I thought the torsion field was from Warframe.
I have a feeling people have used it in a lot of stuff. Wait, hold on. It's on Rational Wiki. Why is that? Rational Wiki's claiming that they actually do in fact exist. I don't know how to feel about that.
That's crazy. I guess it exists now. It's not much of a conspiracy if it exists now, is it?
I'm not saying much on whether it is or isn't. Seems to be split down the middle.
What do you think, Baph? Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm reading about the next couple ones real quick.
No, that's good. We always like to have like one person reading ahead. I think that's good. Alright, I'll keep Torsen Fields. Bethnal Green Screams.
So Bethnal Green is, I believe, a station on the London underground subway system. And at some point they had...
Oh no, we've lost Boson.
73 people died.
Could you repeat that, Boson? You cut out.
Of course I did. During World War II, it was a place on the London Underground where there was a huge disaster where 172. Well, let me see if I can get more in depth about it. Hold on, I'm just looking it up now.
It's a weird way to word a disaster.
Yeah.
Like, that particular type of death is called a crush.
Well, yeah, they were crushed to death.
Just weird wording, that's all. Anyway, I think it has something to do with people that swear they can hear screams to this day.
Oh, so the place is haunted or some shit. Spoopy. Always like hauntings.
Oh, let's see. Oh, there's been a lot of subsequent accidents at that place, too. In 2007, there was a train crash, although no one really got hurt.
You want to know what I don't notice here, which I think I might add? Where's James Dean's little bastard?
What?
You telling me you've never heard of the little bastard? Oh, fuck me, I've got to add that.
I guess not.
Alright. That's something I've got to add. La Infant.
Hold on. Well, L'Enfant is the name of the guy who designed Washington. He had a lot of weird masonry. That's as much as I know without even looking for that. Do some searching.
The original design of BC isn't naive, and it's not really unusual, is it?
I mean, I guess not.
Some people swear there's a pentagram in there somewhere, but that's only in modern cases. No way he was involved with.
Yeah. Another Mason down the drain. What's rational gravity? I've been wondering this the whole night because I've been staring at that one thing.
The only thing I can find is artificial gravity or pseudo-gravity. I can't find rational gravity anywhere. Beyond Gravity Rational Wiki. I don't know why that one keeps coming up.
The Earth is inside out. Inverse Earth is real.
Thank you, Karbon.
Inverse Earth. That's somewhere down here, I'm pretty sure.
Even look at this wiki. Why is this here?
Is it the one where the Earth is hollow?
No, I don't think so. It's called rational gravity. I guess it just doesn't exist.
Hold on. I think
Oh?
I found.
Boson's codfish?
Oh, well, we'll see about it once I read it.
I see a couple that we've gone over in previous icebergs, like DNA formed in the Big Bang, Smithsonian suppression, highway trolls.
Are there supposed to be goblins?
So rational gravity is actually a psychology thing and not a physics. As a pulling back to normality by backwards rational. What does that mean?
It might mean that, if I had to wager a guess from my small, entrance into that field, it might mean that if someone's insane, you can pull them back to social normity through rational gravity. Maybe? I mean, or am I mistaking this for the transcendental mind theory?
I'm trying to find more information about this, but like, quite buried, if I'm being honest.
Right. Well, what I'm thinking of, which I'll talk about whilst we wait on you, unless you want to continue, is that in the circle of people who do philosophy based around quantum physics, there's this idea that the human brain exists in the dimension above, or the dimensions above, which is why we can't find where the human consciousness is, because it's not something that we could physically see. This would actually help explain a number of things, such as how your consciousness could magically split into several different individuals as it moves through the different options within the context of the fifth dimension and other stuff.
Well, my main question is, why would it be exclusive to the human brain and not other animals of the
Oh no, it's with every animal.
Huh.
Anything that has a functioning brain has so functioning in the higher dimensions. The consciousness of the being exists in the higher dimensions.
But would it be different depending on the animal? Like how high you can go within those dimensions?
No. Like, I think they're all like 7th dimensional or something like that. Like, the mind is 7th dimensional, the brain is 3rd. But then again, I don't really know. So
basically, the idea is that the brain is like a radio antenna for the 7th dimension.
For a second there, I thought we had accidentally stopped recording. I was about to flip my shit. We're coming up on 3 hours, boys.
Yeah, this is the rational gravity thing. If you want to read into it, because it's like a big thing, a huge paragraph that I could look into, but it's just want to keep going. There's more interesting stuff ahead.
Bohr theory dream origins.
I got you with this one.
Alright.
The father of quantum mechanics, Niels Bohr, often spoke of the inspirational dream that led to his discovery of the structure of the atom. In his dream, he saw the nucleus of the atom with electrons spinning around it, much as planets spin around their sun. Immediately on awakening, he felt the vision was accurate. And it was.
Wait, what was the thing he saw?
He saw a nucleus with electrons spinning around it, much like a planet.
Huh.
I mean, yeah. Interesting. There's and I have this open, there's a Wikipedia article called List of Dreams that basically have a list of every correct prophetic dream that's ever happened. The invention of the sewing machine came from a dream. Something Descartes did came from a new dream. Double helix of DNA is something that originated from a dream. Pseudo-story. The periodic table apparently was, yeah, so there's a lot of this weird sort of scientific theories originating from dreams.
I think I saw
Interesting to look into if you ever want.
someone made an article about that. 5 different theories.
How about
Here it
DNA formed in the Big Bang?
Is this another one you were reading into?
No. Although that is a technicality, isn't it? That's technically true.
I'm about to say everything was formed in the Big Bang. Fuck this one. Smithsonian suppression.
Alright, hold the phone here. Okay, yeah, never mind. Continue. It was alright. Move on.
Baph, this relates back to your grandmother, apparently.
Smithsonian suppression.
Yeah, apparently, there was a lot of giant human skeletons that were destroyed in the early 1900s.
Elves?
I
Oh.
don't think elves were that big.
Right.
Can't believe Baph's grandmother was right all.
No, this was different. This was like a clickbait article on Facebook that was like, biblical giants found in Egypt. Click.
I think someone made a YouTube video out of it. And I guess they borrowed the same picture. Holocaust of Giants. Great Smithsonian cover.
God, we holocausted so many mythical
Neanderthal
creatures. Truly, the 6th extinction is human.
Ah, there you go. That's an interesting callback.
Huh?
Oh, this looks disgusting.
Morgan?
Oh, it's at Comic Sans.
Ingram? Stalker.
What do you want, Cup Naticus?
Why'd you leave? You were deafened and muted the whole time and then you left.
Yeah?
Why?
Why are you so angry?
I just am. I can't help it. I'm so fucking pissed right now. I'm literally seething.
Oh, look at that poor guy named Spectator.
I think we're actually going to drop it after this line. We're halfway through the thermic. We've gone through actually 2 if you count the rest of Google Chrome. So let's finish this off. Morgan Ingram Stalker.
That sounds like it's Morgan Ingram Stalker.
Don't know who Morgan Ingram is, but there is a picture here. I think it's still an active poster, but this just looks like a generic missing person poster.
Okay,
wait, hold
so
on.
according to X, the story is that her mother is schizophrenic and there is no stalker. She basically kept her locked in her house, used this sort of stalker thing as a way to control her and keep her sort of kept in the house, and then after a while they found her dead from a ketamine overdose. And then the mother, to this day, still purports
reports that the quote-unquote stalker killed.
I found this website dedicated to her, presumably from her family.
Apparently, her mother still runs a blog where she says that the stalker killed her, despite the fact that she probably just gave her ketamine and caused her overdose.
Is her name Tony?
I don't know. X did not give me that. But the thing that I think the conspiracy theory here is that the stalker was actually real and was some sort of like supernatural entity or some stupid X shit. So there's that whole thing about schizophrenics being able to see like DMT or whatnot.
Well, it looks like there's actually 2 suspects from what I'm looking at.
Last up, or second to last up, Christine.
Is it Christine Ambrosi or just Christine?
I can't tell if it's Christine Ambrosia or just Christine.
I mean, we could just really black that out.
Well, give us a second to research. Baph, did you look into this one?
Which one?
Christine.
r/conspiracy likes a place called Ambrosia, but I didn't see anything about Christine. No, that's not there.
Let me check the X archives, because that's really broad.
Not sure if that's a hit or not.
Alright, hold on. I think I have some.
There is a Christine Ambrosia, a woman living in Wheeling, Illinois. And there's also Christine Ambrosia who makes songs.
Christine Mihelich was 10, last seen at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
1985 and 1988.
The Oakland Babysitter. Hold on.
Or 19.
Is it? Oh! Unidentified serial killer.
What?
Okay, so the Oakland County child killer is an unidentified serial killer responsible for the murders of at least 2 girls and 2 boys in Oakland County, Michigan. One of his victims was named Christine Miele of Berkeley. That's as far as I could get on X. That's all. I don't know if it was intended to be that. There you go, another unidentified serial killer.
I fell asleep.
Yeah, you would have to that a lot.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that we're done for the night. Finally, what is ambrosia?
I think it's a type of food from Greek. Something that is usually offered to the gods or comes from the gods.
Didn't the Romans make like a bunch of animals and plants extinct?
I'm sure they did by accident.
Yeah, what if that was like one of those?
It might be possible. Could have been some sort of plant or something.
Yeah, like something like a excretion from a plant that they just harvested until extinction.
Not even just the excretion, because it's nectar and ambrosia usually.
Well,
was
now,
both from the
here's
same
something on X.
Oh yeah.
Ambrosia is a startup company that has been selling young blood transfusions for $8,000 since 2007, under the guise of running a clinical trial to see if transfusion leads to changes in the blood recipients. Oh, it's literally, they say that it's a company run by vampires, never mind.
Yeah, there is a company like that, and oh, there's 2 slides.
Is it run by vampires?
See, here's my hot take, right? Ambrosia, when they're transferring this blood, they actually go to San Francisco, and then they get all the AIDS blood, and it's actually this massive, like, pause fetish corporate.
Actually, someone does mention vampires and something called ambrosia, food or drink, and the immortality is doing young blood transfusions for $8,000 to help to reverse the aging process. CBC calls it the vampire molecule. I think the speculation is that they likely doing this to the extreme in public. It's voluntary and private. It may be exploitable to make more than one is willing to give, thus the vampiric comparison. Right, that's one. Offer new information and even pricing for a youth blood. Already posted that. If you buy 1 liter of Blood Boy plasma, you can get the second 50% off. You just need to throw down 12K.
Alright. With that, we have passed the 3-hour mark. And that's it. This has been Iceberg Season 1, Episode 9.